Hello, MGTOWs. Hello, MGTOWs, man. Today we're going to talk a little bit about cognitive closure and the need for cognitive
Hello,
closure
MGTOWs.
today.
Hello, MGTOWs, man.
Today we're going to talk a little bit. Okay. Let me know how my sound is, and that. Oh, let me scoot up in my Let me not scoot up in my chair. And happy Sunday morning. It's getting warmer outside, and it's becoming spring again, and we're gonna be outside looking around, and that's about it. Coming to the end of coming to the end of winter, and it's been a long winter. COVID-19 has kept us inside and away from each other, and it'll be good to get out and see people as soon as we all get vaccinated, which doesn't seem to be coming real fast, but it'll be coming. I'm 59. I'm right at that edge of getting the vaccination. I'm not quite 62 yet, so I'm the third highest group of people that die of COVID-19, but I still can't get the vaccination. But sound is fine. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for letting me know that. But I keep away from people, like you know. Today, we're going to talk about cognitive closure. I'm going to go over the hairy details of that before Joey comes in and we start discussing it. And I just got a comment deleted by, I don't know if you noticed that. I got a comment deleted by the Google moderator team for saying that people in this country that me and Jim were talking about, there's a moral latitude extended to them in this country, and we can see that in MGTOW. That moral latitude extends to divorce, it extends to abortion, it extends to polygamy. We can prove all three of these things very dramatically if they need to. The Google moderator team wants to censor my free speech. Then if they want to debate these three things, we could do that. And we have abortion in our country, and abortion, 72% of abortion is predicated on vanity and financial needs. That doesn't seem very American, but that's what happens in America. 72% of abortions. Polygamy is baby daddy number 1, 2, 3, and 4. 40% of American females have more than one baby daddy. That leads to the slavery aspect of it. When you're expecting that someone will take care of you in a parentage way for the rest of your life via Uncle Sam Daddy, forcing slavery into their life, that's wrong. That's moral latitude. But today I'd just like to talk about how we get cognitive closure with these things. What is cognitive closure? And it's another personality characteristic. It's negatively related to curiosity. It involves degrees in which people tolerate ambiguity in their life. Now, I know that ambiguity thing. It's at when we were told all of our lives that this is supposed to be this way, this is going to work out. You do these three things: go to school, get married, have children. These things are going to work out. But at the end, 86% of American youth and Americans in general, it goes up to over 172% if you do the not repeat offenders and that stuff. That get divorced end up that thing's not right. That we have a religious system in America that bases itself on traditionalism, and it will come in the end to your tolerance to the ambiguity of what you're being told. Like I said, fatherhood can be taken away with a swipe of a pen. Motherhood can't be taken away. There's certain hypocritical things. You can't get a financial abortion as a male, even though 72% of abortion is predicated on vanity laws. If she thinks it's going to hurt her body or it puts her financial ability to take care of her responsibility to take care of these things. She can get an abortion, and those things are horrible. And so, if you have a tolerance, but the tolerance for ambiguity is related to degrees in which ambiguity manifests itself inside of you personally as a person. Some people have a high tolerance of ambiguity. They don't mind doing the work. They don't mind making that final decision as long as the decision is well thought out. Why did this happen? That's what MGTOWs are. Why did this happen? What do we need to study? What's the biology of this? It's a long period of time when you come in. MGTOW helps with these things. They give you closure. They give you cognitive closure. Most people are somewhat in the middle on these things. There's other characteristics of people that have cognitive closure that is that's very low. They fall for the fantasy fiction stuff. I'll get right back on the horse and try it again. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe it wasn't society that influenced this thing. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe I can set another set of goals with all this in mind and avoid that this time. Maybe I can navigate that minefield. These people are the maybe people. These are the PUAs that are redoing that thing. These are the MRAs that are trying to negotiate within that thing. MGTOWs are very different people. We try to, we're somewhat in the middle of cognitive closure and ambiguity. We don't close things out too fast. We don't close things out without information attached to it. The characteristics is somewhat, there's characteristics that sometimes called a need for cognitive closure. Some people need cognitive closure in different extent. It refers to decisions that are made quickly or decisions that take time for that closure. Where do you stand on Kyle? Do you close things out quickly and believe everything you hear? Do you research these things? Do you need more information? Does the ambiguity need to be settled in a clinical fashion, or does it need to be settled by some fantasy fiction, by someone patting you on the back, telling you everything's going to be okay, by saying, well, I'll just stick with what got me here. And to MGTOW is I'll just keep doing everything right for my society and I'll be the slave, but I'll disregard being a slave. And that was the third thing I wanted to say to the Google moderator team that erased my message, that there was nothing wrong with my message. You just had a triggery moment. Your triggering moment was because you needed to close things out too quickly without hearing what people have to say about these subjects. And maybe Google can learn from them if they don't close things out too quickly. And that's the problem with censorship. Google closes things out if they're triggered by something. Sometimes truths hurt. And you can't have a slave in America. That's what men's rights about. You can't have a slave. We don't want female slaves either doing our laundry, and we want to have equal partnerships. But in these equal partnerships, people are treated equal, and we don't want to have to 86% of the time do a fantasy fiction cognitive closure on things, jump back on that horse, and do what's right for our society, even though it's wrong. We get cognitive closure through painstaking examinations of our lives. We do a full introspection of ourselves, and we take accountability for what we did wrong, and we consider that as MGTOWs. And we consider that we don't want certain things. We just want to be left alone in our little corner of the world to examine things properly, to do critical thinking, to do the science of philosophy. But we often get censored on these things, and it becomes a problem. And that was my little monologue today. MGTOWs, go your own way. All your sins are forgiven, and we come into a fresh MGTOW. How you doing, Joey? How's your day going?
Hey, how's it going? Good. I was just at the store. I grabbed some raw cheeses and
oh, cool.
Yeah, I grabbed like 8 different kinds. So I'm just
8 different kinds?
Cool. Yeah.
You know what I've been doing? And I've ordered all the stuff to do it. I'm going to start making cheese.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it at home. I'm going to start with mozzarella. because I love mozzarella cheese, and pecoro. I ordered the lamb stomach stuff that you need to make pecorino cheese, and that stuff is delicious spaghetti, and you just can't beat cheese. Cheese, sometimes they say that's bad for you, but man, how can something so good be bad for you?
No, it's not. It's good for you. If you can get the raw milk, it's even better. That's where you really
Right.
want it.
Finding raw milk that
Yeah.
I'm probably going to use. I don't know what I'm going to use. I'm gonna look at it. They say use 2%, and I'll try with my first one, and I'm going to try with my second one, because you have to amylase. You have to add to amylase when you start using vitamin D and calcium chloride. You have to add that so it keeps stretchy. But it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. So
So do you have a market or something in your area that has all the cheese?
Yeah, I got lucky. Yeah, we got one of these high-end grocery stores called Wegmans.
Wegmans,
Yeah.
great market there.
Yeah, they're big time. They're probably, you could argue them as the best supermarket in the country. That's how good they are.
Yeah, we have a Heinen's here that I can go to, but I have to drive a little ways to get to Heinen's because I'm in a food desert. But short of that, I don't get good cheese here.
Yeah.
We get that standard block cheese that you get at the Save a Lot in the Aldi's.
Yeah. No, cheese is good for you, man. It's it's natural. If you get the raw milk one, it's natural. So you just got to look at the ingredients. The pasteurized milk is not going to be as good, but it's still, even that, it's still pretty good. It's decent.
Yeah, if they take their time and make the cheese right, and it's not a whole process thing of making billions of batches of cheese at a time, and you age it properly, you can get a better. Let me put this so it doesn't fall. I was playing guitar while I was waiting to come in.
Yeah.
I don't want to knock it over. It makes a clunking sound if you knock it over.
But what was that comment you made? I didn't see it or hear it.
Well, I said there's moral latitude extended to portions of our society, and I think you know which ones we're talking about: abortion, divorce, polygamy, and slavery. The latitude is extended to, and if you listen to a MGTOW for any time, he'll explain why those moral latitudes are extended to them and everything. But we don't simply look at these things and look what our state does to men and everything and say we're going to cognitively close that out and just go along with the nationalistic line on that. We say no, slavery is not right, and either way it goes, you can't get a woman slave in your house, which is traditionalism, and you can't have a male slave after divorce, which seems to be a byproduct of traditionalism. So the Google team took me down, and there was no swear words. There was nothing. I simply explained my position on that, and now I'll probably get a violation from them. But that explains what I'm talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hope you don't get a jail sentence. Or that's probably coming soon with all the censorship they're doing.
Yeah. If the Google team isn't very well moderated in their personality types in life, and I think the Google team should look at this, and if they're not very moderated in their life and if the cognitive closure they need on comments comes too quickly without examining them, then they're in fantasy fiction world and they're censors. If they give latitude and examine, if they're smart enough, and I think that's they don't hire people with vast degrees in sociology, and when you should be, if you are a Google moderator team member, which I should be, you should know philosophy, you should know sociology, you should have a degree in that. But I would question whoever erased that, whether they're very bright.
Yeah.
So Google jail is probably coming upon us because I know they're listening, and they're looking for any little thing to take us down, to censor us, so we don't threaten their traditional conservative way of living, We don't threaten their overly liberal way of thinking. We don't threaten them crazy two ends of the political spectrum. We don't threaten any of those because we can't threaten the crazy people.
Yeah.
Tell the crazy people have the right to do what they want. They're called Christians. They have the right to say, yeah, they have the right to believe anything they want, live in a fantasy fiction world. And
Right.
that's what this podcast is about. I make Adler's rule one of the biggest rules that I have around here. You don't live in fantasy fiction land when you come around here. But I notice Google does, YouTube does, Facebook does, and they live in these created worlds that they created for themselves, and they expect everybody else to live within that space.
Yeah.
In their crazy space.
Well, they got to keep it going. They're benefiting from it, so they don't want to lose their power or control.
Yeah, it's power and it's control. That's what it is. It's authoritarianism, which we wonder why. Why we end up like a guy like Trump, with a guy like Trump as president, when the very authoritarianism comes from the social media outlets and the media outlets and the deciders. Remember that George Bush thing, George Bush Jr. I'm the decider. That's authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And we live under a democracy, but they don't seem to understand that. It's all geared towards capitalistic authoritarianism, where if you have their idea of heaven is everybody has more money than everybody else. And if you breach that thing, ooh, you've made it. My God, what a horrible system we have.
Yeah.
So I guess you can tell I'm on fire today, huh?
Yeah. Man. Somebody's got to speak out against it because,
Yeah, someone's got to speak out.
You're right, though. The norm is fantasy fiction. That's the norm.
The norm is fantasy fiction anymore. That like Dostoevsky explained in his great novel. I won't go over which one, but that house doesn't look the same from the street as it does from inside. As soon as you enter, all the horrors from that house, that picket fence house that you wanted, you will get. Yeah. So we all have this need for cognitive closure, and in MGTOW it comes. We did this the other day with Black Wolf, and we all kind of shared our stories, how we came to that. For me, the cognitive closure was the last dating event I ever had, where I went out and with a woman. She finally got a car. For like 2 years, I drove her everywhere, and she finally got a car. And she was driving around and we were doing our thing. We like to look at the parks, and she liked to say had the same interests in me. And this was quite a few years ago. And after the day was over, I was like, okay, I just kind of looked over and I said, yeah, this isn't working. I can't do it no more. And I closed things out of the mating thing probably pretty early in life, somewhere around 45, 46, 47, 48. I got sick of it and I just closed. There was a serious need for closure in my life and to move on to other things, which there was business opportunities. There was me becoming a better person. There was this MGTOW thing where I was doing the introspections now. I was thinking what a horrible person I am. And I could no longer do that thing, that dating thing inside the traditional world. And there was real closure. I let it go. I let it go myself. And I just let it go. And I was like, it was best. There was a happiness in my soul after that, where it didn't end bad. It didn't end horribly. We weren't throwing things at each other. I just decided that was the end. And you had a similar story in Blackwith. And that's how we get cognitive closure. Cognitive closure sometimes comes with an easy ending. Now, most men, that easy ending, when you come into MGTOW, you need to find that easy ending, or you need to go to the other two steps. You need to get cognitive closure on that. some of us fall in the middle. Some of us can do that. Well, where did that end for you? You had a unique story there too yourself about where you just became at ease with the world as the world is.
Well, I mean, I think I was mostly a trad cuck. I think
Yeah,
growing up in a
where you're
sort of a trad family, family too. But yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I think it was just for me, it was more gradual. It wasn't like one event. And I think with Christianity, it definitely was. That was the one that was screwing me up more than anything because it's
well,
a
you were
traditional
tolerant of,
belief system.
yeah, you have a high ability to take the ambiguity and look at it. So you it
Yeah,
came over a period of time where you just started looking at this, and it's the deconstruction that we do here. We deconstruct things, we put things back on a table that makes sense. Do you agree with
right.
that? You kind of made those decisions where I'm removing all this traditional trad cuckery, and then I put things back on the table that make sense, that work.
Right. Like the Christianity didn't make sense
Doesn't work.
when I researched the Christianity and the fact that Christianity was taken from other religions, and then this whole Jesus figure, he wasn't real. The evidence, that Joseph Atwell book, Caesar's the Messiah,
Okay.
broke it down for me, and then Christ Conspiracy, that broke it down for me. Those are two really highly academic books that showed me that Christianity was a farce. And it's like all these years, I was like, got sucked into that. And so once I realized that was all a bunch of nonsense, then it was, go from there. But prior to that, the MGTOW stuff made a lot of sense to me because I just observing how women, especially today, how they don't even hide the fact that they're trying to extract resources. In the past, they would they would hide that a little better, but now they don't even care. They just come out and say it.
Yeah, as long as there was that traditional conservative way where the male in his all his disgustingness wanted his traditional slave, fat and pregnant, and in the kitchen, and women were willing to accept that, it was easier. There was a period of time where that did work, but it stopped working as soon as people started questioning that, and so it was a slow process up to the 80s and the 90s where we started really looking at this and going, no, this whole thing doesn't work. And yeah.
No, it doesn't work. And you can't really develop as a human being when you're in a slavery system, or mentality.
No, you lose all your autonomy.
Right, you lose. Yeah, exactly.
A slave isn't an autonomous being, and what people really want is freedom and autonomy to become their own personalities and everything. Can you tell I shaved this morning?
Oh, yeah.
I have this smooth face. It's like a baby's face now. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
No, we developed the autonomy, developed the people we want to be, learn what we want to learn. Be as strong or be as weak as you want, but that's your decision to make, not somebody else's. Slavery removes all that decision from you. And that's what men get 86% of the time, where you're now a working, part of the working nation, the 20 to 30% slavery that we need in our nation, that move the food, that move the that agriculture depends on, that automaking depends on, so we can give Americans every day this ease of living. The microwaves, the ovens. There's a large percentage of our population that have to do that work, and that's even like I did for years, making the farm plows. That's quite labor intensive work, which basically the lighter than air people, the people that work for the government, don't understand. There's no and I will say feminist epistemology at this point, of standpoint epistemology, is very correct. We have leaders that don't understand the 20 to 30% slaves in our country, and they try to insert men that have fallen out of their moral their moral code, which is the moral in-group. If you get a divorce, you fall out of the moral in-group, and then you're stuffed down, you're forced down into that 20% where you have to take on 2 jobs now. You have to be a slave to another person. And that's wrong. That's what we fought against. That's what we had a civil war about. That and polygamy, the 2 tenets of barbarianism. And people don't understand that. It's like we had this great war, this industrial great war. It was mainly about an industrial revolution, about how we moved from a traditional farming communities to industrialization. And the traditional was supposed to leave, but the traditional never really left. We just got slaves, and they're all colored slaves now. They're white slaves, they're black slaves, they're Asian slaves.
Yeah, I know of 2 guys that are really talented, like construction work and like really good work, like craftsmanship, and another guy was just real good entrepreneur, and they both had children in their early 20s, and fortunately they were they got stuck down in a small town. They could have really done a lot of big things in their lives. Like, they were that talented, they could have gone anywhere, and they ended up just staying in that small town to be around their, because there were a lot of things going on there. I mean, first of all, they got tied down to the chick, and then with the child support, and then, but also the other point too is that the fatherhood thing. They believed in the fatherhood thing. If they understood that there's no such thing as being a father, like, they would have maybe moved on with their lives and done some bigger things, but they kind of just stayed in that town and just kind of moped around. And one of them became like a drug addict. And,
that's what I see.
Yeah, he's, and the other one, he ended up doing, he started his own business, but it wasn't, just enough to get by. He didn't want to. It's almost like it took the incentive away, because he was telling me he didn't want to make too much money, so she would get all the money. She would get a lot of the money.
He starts his own.
It didn't. He lost his incentives.
Right. There's no incentive in being a slave. It's like a slave. A person that's paid bales more wheat than a slave. A slave won't do that. And that's what we get in. I've done that for years of my life, where I do have a lot of really great skills, but practicing those skills, and there's a possibility, because I don't make no money practicing those skills, because of the way I'm treated in this country, because of the slavery. So, hey, who loses? Who loses on that, Joey? We talk about this all the time. The biggest job killer in America is divorce. The biggest job killer in America is divorce. Now, we can get rid of the divorce system, and feminism can bloom, and they can take responsibility and accountability for their own bodies. That's what MGTOW's telling them. Please take responsibility and accountability for your own bodies. You get pregnant. I don't. I'm not your father for your parental figure.
And one of the guys, he paid his child support for like 14 years straight, and then he got into a situation where he lost his job or something, and the first month he missed, she was like, she wanted to take him to court, and first 1 month out of 14 years.
Right, and they will take your driver's license, take your ability to get to work. They'll put you. You know what happens in the divorce court system, and basically the Health and Human Service system, which it goes into, is Health and Human Services gets money for putting people in arrears. It's no doubt that 82% of the men in America are in arrears and child support. You know what happens? The government gives them money to replace that money, which they take their core portion and their cut off of, and then give themselves raises for those lighter than air jobs that they do. And then they hold the male responsible again for a double taxation on the money that he paid in taxes that the government gave him. So there's that, when I talk about Durkheim's social fact, that happens in our government. Durkheim's social fact happens. There's people, instead of the money going straight across, what I would say, and this is my scientific explanation to why my system works, and why that we need to cut the government out of these things. If the money went straight across to the mothers of children, and we took care of all that stuff, it would be about 2/3 less than the government going up to the government and then trickling down and going up to the rich and trickling down. That's Durkheim's social fact, that they're going to take what they want off of it before, and that's where it costs us 2/3 more. We're supplying we're supplying people that don't want to work and don't want to split up the agricultural work and the work that's needed, the actual hands-on work. They don't want to do that because that's too hard for them. So they get to do these lighter than air jobs, and they get to skim money off the top. Now you can see, if you want to look at Durkheim's social fact, you can look at poverty in different countries where we've dropped rice in certain countries, and we dropped products and everything, and then that stuff Sally Smothers in the desert, all fat and eating everything up. That was that cartoon was Durkheim's social fact playing it out. She was taking her cut off of that. And then in South Park they explain it very well how Durkheim's social fact works. But that works for divorced people, that works for men, that works in our system, where these people are they think they're better than everybody else. They don't think they have to do any work.
Yeah, that reminds me of a joke with Sam Kinison where he's talking about the cameraman like giving a sandwich to the people in Africa.
Yeah.
You remember that? I don't know if you remember that. Like, remember they were all that like feed Africa or whatever, and
feed Africa and everything.
And then he's saying that why does the cameraman give a sandwich to the kids that are starving? Anyway,
that's an observation that the cameraman's making a living on this horrible situation.
Yeah. The cameraman and crew, they have all these coolers, all these cold drinks, and
they're drinking cola and
right.
all this expensive equipment that these people have never seen before, and that was coming out of the fund that was supposed to be going to feed these people, which is hypocrisy at its greatest.
Right. They're exploiting it's like the Jerry Lewis Foundation. They exploit these people with multiple sclerosis, or I think it's MS, right? Is that what they do?
Right.
I mean, they're exploiting them to make money. I mean, 90. I took a class on this like 20 years ago when I was in graduate school. So most of that money, like it's like 90, it's like a ridiculous amount. 95% of that money goes to pay the administrative costs, to pay Jerry Lewis and to pay all these other people. Like only 5% or less goes to actually helping people with MS.
Right. That's
so they're exploiting their disability. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to sidetrack, but that's they just exploit people.
They exploit
the rich exploit the poor. Pretty much.
The programs can run very good. The Red Cross can run very good, but we have to digitalize it and just send the donations, equipment, and you will need a small working staff of men that are willing to move the equipment, the slaves, and pay them. And you pay them well, then they're no longer slaves, and the money's hands off. They just make that money. You move the rice, you move the products, and you ship it, and you give it to them. And there's no skimming off the top and paying administration fees, or you can just wire the money. That's my idea. You wire the money to these people, and it helps. And you could do it that way. Now that's my library theory. We get rid of Health and Human Services. You go down, type in your social security number, your birth date, your name, all these things that match up. You have voter registration and everything. And in that, you put in how much you make. And if you fall under that poverty rate, the government automatically just sends you a check. Now, that system would cost 1/3 of the system, rather than building big buildings, monolithic buildings that show authority and power, so people with lighter than air jobs can drive around Mercedes-Benz. That's where 2/3 of the money goes. You just digitalize it. And people don't understand that, but that's our divorce system too. men are taxed to take care of these things. They're pre-taxed. We're all pre-cucked. We pay taxes, 1/3 of our pay almost, to pay taxes for these things, and then they refuse to take care of them. So when a female falls into a divorce situation or just having a baby out of wedlock, they're always looking for somebody to pay for that because they've stolen all the money and paid themselves instead of going where it was supposed to go. Now we can eliminate that in America. We have the ability to do that now. We have the ability to, I mean, these people will lose their jobs and have to move off into the private sector, but that's only fair that they do. I mean, how many times have you seen an auto worker lose his job to a machine? That's what's his name? The guy that just died, what was his name? Black guy in Canada. His name was a reference to that thing. What was his name? He was a MGTOW.
You're talking about Paul Proteus.
Proteus. You know who Proteus was?
No.
Paul Proteus is a character, a doctor from one of the first Kurt Vonnegut's first book. I'll look up the name right now and get you guys so you can. If you're wondering who Proteus is, he's the doctor in that. He's the main character in the book of. Let me see. Let me find it. Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut. Okay. It tells about an automated world where men lose their jobs to machines and how horrible this is, but it's a utopian future, automation and that stuff. It's called Player Piano. Get to read Player Piano. That's what Proteus was talking about. And there's different ways to look at this. We can automate now. We've become very good at that. We do it all the time with auto workers. We do it all the time with welders. We do it all the time with packers and warehouse people. We do it all the time. If we can automate those people out, we do. But do we do that with our government workers? They think they're above that. They think they're above being automated out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hypocrisy in that. They're keeping a barbarian world of slavery and the barbarism of polygamy to exist so they don't get automated out. And that's where the hypocrisy is. Now we can develop a different world if we just go with this thing and say, okay, now we'll just digitalize health and human services.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's all they have to do. You're right. You don't need those buildings, like you said.
Yeah, we don't need those buildings. As for the doctors and we've given them $51 trillion over the last 30 years so a pandemic can come up and they could fail horribly and throw all the responsibility on the CDC. And then we can.
I know a guy that works for the state. He works from home now, and he likes it better. He likes it better staying from home. Like it's actually less stressful and.
It's less stressful. People live longer. We can take care of this system, and we can talk about the player pianos in this world, and we can do that. But we have to do it correctly, and we have to look at our very system too, and get rid of the divorce courts. We need to get rid of the marriage courts. We need to. There's no real such thing as marriage. It's just a agreement between two people on monogamy, which always turns to polygamy.
Yeah, they all cheat. I mean, I don't know what the percentages are, but it's got to be 80-90% of spouses cheat. I mean, it has to be
80, 90, 98%. I'm not even sure. It's not even a realistic goal.
I mean, I had a friend I was telling you about. He's in his 70s now, but he was like, the guy's like a stand-up guy, a really good guy, and he loved his wife. You know, they were married for 30-something years until they got divorced. But he even told me, he goes, I was faithful to her, but I only cheated on her like 6 times or something, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, even him, right? Even him, he's a guy I would trust as much as anybody.
Yeah, now jealousy and everything plays a big role in that. Being faithful is bringing the cash home, making sure the house is taken care of, making sure the lawn's cut, making sure she has a car to drive, making sure all that stuff. So your possession, you in a traditional way, you have a possession, and that's the parentage of a female, where she's dependent. Now you take care of all those things, and that's what he was talking about. Uh, as for what you do, your body, your choice. I told you, my wife gave me my ex-wife gave me the explanation to that in life. When we were getting our divorce, she says, "I got a boyfriend. I mean, we're going to try to kill you," she said, and they did. They tried to kill me for the insurance money.
Oh,
And
she came out and said that to you, that she was trying to kill you?
no, no, I'm inserting that because that's another truth.
Oh, okay,
There was
yeah, yeah.
no truth
I was,
that I just
I was-
didn't get antifreeze in my Kool-Aid because
right.
well, the reason was she found a new boyfriend, and I said, "You're not allowed to do that," because I was still under that traditional. I said, "That's
Right.
against the
You
rules."
thought Jesus was real and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Or
yeah.
you
And
thought
she
it was
says,
all right.
"No, it's my body, it's my choice. I can do whatever I want with that." And then I woke
Yeah.
up and thought, "Perfect," because I could have always done that, and I could do that
Right,
now. And now it's nobody's business what I do. I'm a monk. That
right,
the
right,
monk is, it's nobody's business what I do. Don't ask. Don't I won't tell.
right,
And
right.
that I got my monk attitude from, and it came from her being a cruel, vicious person. And it's like I learned from the heat.
Yeah,
That was a sort of cognitive closure in itself, wasn't it? And I didn't go all nuts. I didn't simp. I didn't go, "Oh baby, please." I says, "Good, leave. I'll leave.
yeah,
Good,
yeah.
but you don't get none of this, and you don't get a slave.
Right, right.
Nothing more from me." And that was the biggest
Well,
shock
it's,
in her life.
yeah, that's like the women. They want their cake and eat it too. That's kind of that's
That
what
was
they
the,
are. That covers women in a nutshell. They want their
and,
cake and eat it too.
and all the traditional guys called me awful names. "Joe, you can't do that. You can't just leave this." No, she's right.
Right,
Body, my choice. I could do whatever I want, and it's nobody else's business. She's
right,
100% right, I thought. But they're mad because they couldn't get their hooks. Like there's two sets of rules. There's one for men and one for women. That's the moral latitude I was talking about at the beginning. The moral latitude that is given to them is phenomenal. Which I was being held to
right,
this honor code, this traditional honor code where I had to always be there. No, no, I'm a MGTOW. I'm not a slave. And
right.
that makes perfect sense. It's perfect sociological sense.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, it came with a hard lesson. That crash, the king crashes. It's a long way down. Yeah, yeah, all that thing. Trying to get back healthy again after that took quite a few years.
yeah,
But that's what we're talking about, how I deal with cognitive closure. I deal with this thing very strictly. And I mean, the traditionals don't like my ideas. I present. That's what I seen with Google moderator team. This it's like they're very fast on their closure without information.
yeah. A lot of them are MGTOW lights. They weren't ever MGTOW to begin with. They were just traditional conservatives masking as MGTOW, and that's like a lot of those guys in overseas. That you know, I won't say the city, but I've been bashing on them too much. But that's what they were. That's what they are pretty much. And
Yeah,
that they were never MGTOW. Like they're not like us. I mean for myself. Well, I mean for myself, I had never got married. I never have children. So so
actually, not MGTOW.
I, I go to
That's
the front. I go to the front of the line. I think just by that fact alone. And I'm not even dating. I haven't done a long-term date in over close to probably 15, 20
yeah.
years. So it's like. Yeah. So, but those guys are like, yeah, those guys are masquerading as MGTOW, and they're still sticking with their traditional conservative ideas.
Their traditional conservative
So,
ideas are wrong.
yeah, yeah, and that's why they don't come around. That
You
really is why they don't come around.
Yeah. Now we could say the expressed ideas of liberalism in that far group to the right is wrong too. We have to learn how to be in that middle group when it comes to these things in life, and learn how to examine them very epistemologically. But we do it with knowledge, and we do it with truth, not this fantasy fiction world that they live in.
Right. They live in the fantasy. I mean, they're nice guys. I like those guys personally. I think they're good guys, but but you're not a MGTOW. You're not really supporting that philosophy. You're not. You know what I mean? You're not.
No, they're not MGTOWs. Expatriation is a decision a quick decision to leave something and go somewhere else because you believe that somewhere else that the world, and it is in a general financial way. If I take $200,000 to South Korea, or and live there, I live like a king. If I have $200,000 in America, I'm barely making it. And then someone else
with all the taxes. People think they make all this money. You didn't make shit. Like that money's going to taxes, half of it.
Yeah.
You're really not making as much money as you think. I mean, a guy making 200 grand, he thinks, "Oh, I'm making a lot of money," but you're only really making 100. You're only clearing 100. And then the other guy making 100, he's clearing 50. So you're only making 50,000 more. Like, it's not that big of a swing. I mean, it really isn't. Even, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So the taxes alone are oppressive. That's the most. I mean, I look back on the taxes I paid in my life, and it's disgusting. I mean, just total slavery. Total slavery. Like
totally slavery. Yeah, 1/3 of your pay goes to the system that was supposed to take care. I'm gonna drop. Where's that? Okay, link. I'm gonna drop Black with a link. He wants a link in. Copy. Okay. What do we pay these taxes for? We pay the taxes for health and human services so they can take care of the poor, so they can take care of the baby mamas, so they can take care of the children. And in that, they double tax the men again for child. They double tax for alimony.
Right. That's like the churches do the same thing because they're not paying taxes on the money that you're taxed on. They're just taking your money. It's such a scam. It's such a scam. If you can't see that as a scam by now, then you really have a lot of work to do for your critical thinking.
The biggest scam in America. How we can get rid of it by digitalizing it and automating it.
Yeah,
and these people can find.
Yeah, and all it takes is historical. If you're a Christian, all it takes is historical evidence, because there's no evidence that Jesus existed outside of the Bible. So right there, that should alone alert you right there that you're basing it on your own book that you guys wrote.
Yeah. Well, I would give them the latitude for that book to be existentialism if the book would simply say that these are fantasy fiction situations.
Right.
And then we could say, this is a great book of existentialism and morality.
Yeah.
But they won't give up that they think it's a real thing. No, it's an existential book, like Buddhism, like Hinduism, like I learn a lot from Buddhism. I learn a lot from Shanti Deva, and I learn a lot from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Dharma, from them things. But they're not saying that this book is real. They're saying it's a book of existentialism.
Right, but those, a lot of those, like, so the Hindus, I guess, the oldest religion. So Christianity stole all these ideas from like all these other religions.
They stole other ideas from them and tried
to. These Christians don't get it. They have this imaginary friend called Jesus that never existed. It's like they don't get it. They just they don't have a critical thinking skill.
That's how fables work. They give you this thing that you're supposed to aspire to be, which you can never be, and then that thing is suffering's his thing.
Right.
He suffers. Exactly. It's like you can suffer that badly for the rich.
Joe, not even suffering. It says long suffering.
Long suffering too. Yeah.
Long suffering. Like if you're not suffering, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's who's the father that comes around here? The Christian, what was his name? The Father No. Yeah, he's an actual. He's an actual Christian father in the Philippines, and he hates prostitution. So he's got this MGTOW thing going where he hates prostitution and stuff, and he hates the way the women act because there's a lot of prostitution there. But he thinks slavery is okay because God, in their view, In their religion, slavery is okay. It's okay to be a slave to your God.
Yeah.
But who's their God? Who is your God now on this terrestrial plane that we live on? Well, your God becomes the authoritarian figures of our government.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna I'm gonna let you and Blackwolf chat for a second. Why I drank some vitamin C water this morning, and I
Yeah.
have to.
How's it going, Black Wolf? How you doing today?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I've just been chilling, really hoping to get my stuff in order so I can move. I enjoy listening to different content and whatnot. I've been my content's kind of slowed down a little bit. I've been meditating on a lot of stuff, man, and I came to the conclusion that the more things change, the more they stay the same. Some people are just happy, believing the delusion. For me, like I tell everyone, I used to be very strongly Roman Catholic, and when I woke up to the bullshit, then it was like getting hit by a damn semi truck, pretty much, just because this whole religion thing. I tell people this all the time. I bounce between being an atheist and an agnostic because I want to believe in something. I actually wish I had some kind of proof to hold on to something, but like I have yet to see a testimony or have anyone providing logical information to me. And so when I look at stuff like the Bible, to me it's just a book of cautionary tales or a manual to air quote, not get hurt or whatever. But at the same time, the Bible itself is contradictory. There's so much contradictory in it. No one follows the Bible, like even 40% or 30%. People just mostly cherry pick whatever the hell they want out of it and then strongly promote that. So that's how it is, unfortunately. If people followed it,
Yes.
then I wouldn't be such an ass about it. But I make fun of it, man. I I got a whole channel dedicated to fucking dark humor and shit. If people read between the lines, I'm telling the truth, just not in the way that they want me to.
Yeah, it all goes back
Yeah.
to, and like I said, if it was promoted as a book of existential logic, then fine, figure it out, go through it, and do it that way. Which is you give fables. Here's analogies too, and they say these are analogies to these existential moments in your life, which you will have to overcome. And they said if they said it that way, but no, they actually believe it's true. They actually believe that it's an observable truth,
Yeah.
and
Right. Yeah.
they don't have a right to. They don't. They have a right to believe in that existentialism, but they don't have a right to tell you and I that that's an observable truth.
Right. That's right.
And when they lie, we talk about the big issue in politics and was the fake news and everything. Did anybody ever ask the question about the fake news in the religions? About what they're telling you? It's the same thing about telling little kids that they're going to go to a place of hell, and if they're going to burn in that place of hell under torment and suffering if they don't do what you say. That's child abuse.
Hmm. Well, the whole thing you talked about too about the government, like it even says, like it advocates slavery in the Bible, like and then also obey your government. Like look at all the corruption in politics. Like, the Bible is saying obey your government. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, do we have a? I can't tell if it's a troll or a not troll. Luigi.
It's a fucking troll. I encountered him in another stream.
Oh yeah.
If you
He
give me a
says
spinner,
he says
He's
I'm
a
going.
racist guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. If you give me a spinner, I can take care of it. If not, hell, I mean, I enjoy encountering dudes like Luigi because they
Yeah.
really
I
highlight
want to hear them. I want them to demonstrate their idiocracy in words on my page.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I was in a stream where that dude hopped up and he said the funniest thing I think I've ever heard a human being say. He comes in to ask Nathaniel's life coach channel. I hate I was even there, but he jumps in for 5 seconds and he says, okay, everyone stay away from white women or you will be eradicated. I am the guy.
Yeah,
Dude
they have
sounded
that.
like
That's where we get this the other side of the sort of the more view on it's all the white women, it's all feminism, and that way you're drawing up this demon in your head. There's a demon out there, and that's that's the windmill. What was the book about the guy that fought with the windmill? He thought it was a dragon.
yeah.
So so that's more fantasy fiction land where they draw up this imaginary and I've explained that for years, and it doesn't seem like MGTOW wants to get on board with that. That's fencing with dragons. You're fencing with dragons when you do those things, and we're not supposed to be that. We're not supposed to even introduce any, because you know what the observable truth in MGTOW is that no matter what our color, whatever what our where we come from, we're all men.
Exactly. I mean,
That's what we're worried about. We're worried about the tribulations of being a male in this society.
that's what I base my whole channel off of. I've never like really even talked about race or hardly anything that much because the way I see it is we're all men. Men
Yeah,
are men, women are women. And dude, like I don't even have like a racial preference for women anymore. Like I just see women as they are. I mean, like go
yeah.
all over the world, they just do what they do.
AWALT, a walt. And
Yep.
Marcus the Metaphysical explained why a walt is right. All women are like that. What are women like? They're like women. So that's the true statement. That's an analytical statement. That's a truth.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and a lot of guys can't accept that. And to Luigi in the comments section, God, I really wish you were on here so we could have a great discussion about this because when you're typing all this stuff, I'm kind of wondering when you get off after like kind of dissing everybody, do you ever like go to sleep and think to yourself, maybe I might just be a little bit insecure?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't taken a good look at myself. Maybe I haven't done that deep. And that's what most of them, we do our introspections as men. I know when I was wrong. That's why I do this. I know I was wrong back then. I know when I believed in religion, I was wrong. And I have to admit that to myself. I know when I was a trad cuck, I don't know if we're allowed to say the S word anymore, or else I could be taken down. Uh, uh, the, uh, the primp. I don't know. We got to come up with
Yeah.
a word now. When I was doing that, when I was simping, I was wrong. I could do that introspection because I've grown. And a lot of it has to do with that cognitive closure I was talking about. I came to
Yeah.
this area in my mind, at least in my mind, I was free. We talk about that, and when what's his name in that great movie? He does the poem from the windowsill about being free in my mind.
Oh, dang, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
remember.
it's about
I
slavery,
remember.
it's about ending the slavery. Even though they have me contained, even though they have me behind bars, I can still be free in one place, right there.
Yeah. Instead of the S word, I think of a good word replacement. We could just call people like Luigi the Destroyer. We'll just use Luigi, for
Yeah, we'll
example.
just
They
say
could
you're
just
a Luigi now. Don't be such a Luigi.
no longer will other men be touching white women. Like only I can get rejected.
Yes, only I can get rejected. Yeah. Well, that's that alt right. When the alt right came to MGTOW, and there's a vast portion of that's just it humbles me and it makes me feel bad because we have these alt white, and and they're such bigots, and they want to go back to that traditional conservative way because it was great for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, they loved it so much. Like the women will say jump, they say how high, and then
Right.
they
Baby, I
go to
baked
work.
you this pie. She's at the doorway every day with that napkin around her. What do you call those aprons? And she got, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad you're home. And he's like, yes, I'm the man. I've come home from 8 hours of work and I need a scotch.
See, guys like Luigi, they want that Leave It to Beaver like lifestyle, or you know those old 1940s movie. The guy comes in, the woman has a martini in her hand.
Yeah,
How was your day?
here you go. Like, is it dry? Does it have broom? Is it shaken,
Oh,
not stirred? And that's
you
what they
know,
think. The little slave girl is going to be your slave, and that's disgusting. I don't want that for the girls.
you want to know the kicker of this is I proved this years ago. A lot of those guys they romanticize the past, and the funny
Right.
part about it is if they did grow up in a time period, they wouldn't be able to make the cut anyway.
They
And
wouldn't
if
be able
they
to make the cut
did,
anyways. Yeah.
And if they did make the cut, they would think that they have this subservient, woman, but in actuality, they're the slave of the woman because at the end of the
Right.
day, everything they do is for her benefit, not
Everything
his.
they do is for her benefit. Yeah, we talked about this with the Shia, the Muslim religion, where everything they do is for her benefit, and she's complaining about it. But in that, will come your own, because that day that she decides to move out and invoke her right to divorce, you become the slave for the rest of your life.
Exactly. I mean, and
In
and
that moment, wow, that's an awakening.
it's it's really sad that some guys can't see it. And yo, Luigi, as much as you may not like Ask Nathan Life Coach channel, you're just like him.
Yeah,
You're a white version of that dude. Like, because hell, I think you guys would be best friends. I
they
don't know why
probably
you
do
came
that.
on this channel.
Yeah,
I mean, the only thing that dude Nathan talks about is, I mean, like this dude got mad at me, called me a loser. He was talking about like, oh, all black men or all men need to go to Latin countries and date these women. These women will treat you right. Oh, and then they walk around with a camera and a microphone, shoving it in women's face. Oh, do you like guys that look like me? What kind of guy do you like? And they don't realize that that's embarrassing. They
that is
create
so embarrassing.
they create what's called a bad rapport for everybody else, and now thanks to dudes like that, there's women making videos about how desperate these guys are
Yeah,
and oh, they probably drink, pee urine or whatever. And it's
that's what they
because of
do.
dudes like that. It's because of clowns like that
It's because of
you know,
clown world and that we've let in. And I'll say that MGTOW, man, we've got to purge ourselves from
we do.
these entryists. And I will say that all right. I will say a lot of that kind of thinking is a good model we look at and say, no, we don't do that. We don't do the expatriates. We don't do runoff too. We don't do the PUA. We don't do that stuff. And we don't do the traditional male, the one that I harp on all the time. We don't do that trad traditional male around here. We don't do the religion. We talk about men. We talk about what's good for us and what we need to push forward, what the actions we need to take to make this thing happen. We're standing on the backs of men's rights that for 40 years lost. And
And
until MGTOW came around, and we've changed, we've warped, we've molded society to a great degree right now. You can look over every portion of society uses some bit of our language that we invented, that we made, that point to these things that will wake you to a better experience in life.
and and this is why I'm happy for MGTOW that it's grown in that way. I mean, I am going to be making a video about these entry level guys, so be on the lookout for that because normally I just let it go. But they're
Yeah,
they're misleading people a lot, like that Nathan guy and Luigi. They jump into MGTOW and then they try to make it something that it's not. And sure, there's like two or three core tenets, but regardless of where somebody stands, it's about the self improvement of men. And
right,
some men are such willing slaves that they don't even
right.
realize they're doing this. Anytime your happiness and how you feel is tethered to that of how a woman thinks, feel, and act, then you're not free. You're just
You're
like you're
not.
still a slave.
Oh, what did I do here? Oh,
We should get Luigi in the talk, maybe see what he has to say.
I kicked my light off. Sorry. So it'll be a little bit less. Yeah. It's well, when we go to school, Uncle Tom's Cabin's about that, about how Uncle Tom would throw his brothers under the bus because he was the good house slave. Because me and Joey talk about this all the time. Or jarbs, or jarbs. All you're saying when you're saying that is I'm the best slave. We have to get over that mentality.
Pretty much. And you know what kind of gets me the most though, like, and it baffles me. Even I know that even within some of my own subs and hell, maybe even on here, there are dudes that date and are still in relationships, and they act like we have some hardened issue with them. Most of us don't. We don't even care. The only thing we're doing is laying out the information. Use it to your ability.
Right.
As long as that person is not an enemy to me or trying to force me to get married or force me to do that, then I'm cool with them. They can rock on, do your thing. But when they start doing stuff like what Luigi's doing in the comments, it's funny.
Yeah, do it in their own groups. They don't have to come in our group and try to convince. There's nothing. We're already quantified in our theories, but there's nothing they can convince us, and we always have. We can always defend our theory, and but they do it like so many other people do it. They conservatively balk when they hear our ideas. No, that can't be true. Like little children.
And then they want to try to tell us, well, you're not a real MGTOW because you don't subscribe to my BS ideology. Oh no, you're not doing A, B, and C. And it's just funny. They do the exact same thing women do, and they don't even realize it.
Right? Yeah, that's what that guy said. The last guy that we had, and it's so irritating sometimes bringing these guys in to talk because he just quantified everything that I was. And he said at the end, Trev, you can't be a MGTOW no more. I'll make sure about it because I was drifting from it. And I went down and I gave a very good video after that about morality and personality, and morality becomes in group, and loyalty to the group becomes important. You have to be loyal to their group. Their in group morality is loyalty, and if you're not loyal to the group, they exercise you from the group. It's so barbaric. It's like the Egyptians, when you didn't believe in their ideas, or the Romans, they would send you off into the desert because you're ostracized from it.
And that's why I laugh. They act like they want to live in some draconic society, or maybe they do. Maybe they really.
Maybe that's better for them because of the low bar of intelligence in that draconic society.
They want everything to just be in that fashion, and that time is that time's long come and gone. They can't, they under normal circumstances. It's pretty funny if they went back to that time period, they'd never survive. They'd be dead.
No, they would be the one that was ostracized because they didn't understand. You ever do the research on the astrakhan?
Oh yeah,
about it was a jar that in the Roman time where you had chips, clay chips, and then when it come before Senate, and this is what happened with not Moses. Was it Moses? He was placed before the Astrakhan, and they threw their chips in there. And there's a vast ideology in that Astrakhan. He was ostracized to the desert for his ideas because he couldn't conform to his ideas. His ideas didn't conform to the lunacy of their ideas. And many people went through this. And we have in any museum you can get like one of those chips, or you can see the chips, which it was a voting system. We're going to vote people out. That's where the word ostracization comes from. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I mean, I did a little research, but I know that I guess I need to. I do my research. The books you give me are very helpful.
Yeah, you got audio book now too, huh? You love that?
Yeah, I love the hell out of that now, man. I'm enjoying that, and I know I should be paying attention to this, but it's just so funny. I gotta just throw out this comment. If you don't have at least 25% Caucasian ethnicity, you're not allowed to touch their made one. Okay, in that case, I'm in the clear then. Since my grandfather is Scottish Welsh, I'm in the freaking clear then. Oh, so thanks, Luigi. Thank you so much for giving me that pass. Now I can have sex with all the white women I want. You know what? I'm gonna send you videos of it. That way, you can kind of see the moves and kind of take some notes. You gotta do it the right way.
Yeah. Now I'm ostracized from that group because I'm Irish. And I'm old enough to remember these things. There used to be a group, and I tell Joey this story all the time. It was a group in it's called Oddfellows. You familiar with the Oddfellows? It's a WASP,
Oh no.
white Anglo-Saxon Protestant group, and uh, when I was young, obviously I was raised Roman Catholic, Irish Roman Catholic, and I'm running through the woods, and I got my friends and everything. We're running through the woods. We're going towards this Oddfellows campgrounds, and I stop, and there's a sign. It's an old sign. You know what that sign said?
What did it say?
I'll use the good words on it. It said no black people, no Irish, and no Italians.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but the
they use the bad words for that.
yeah, a lot of people like especially a lot of the younger people, they don't know this, but a lot of the Irish, Italian, and pretty much all the darker Europeans, the term white had to, and even black had to transform to
Yeah,
fit a social narrative.
right.
For example, the Creole people weren't considered black until the early maybe like 1950s or something. They would change the labels in order to fit the social narrative. And so I used to make the joke when I was younger that there are even air quote white people that cannot join the white club because
I'm one of
of that
those
strict.
people. I'm not in the white club. Just because my skin color is this, and it's very, very not sun tolerant and everything, but just people look at me and like I'm not allowed in their club either. And I grew up with vast, vast information on this and how they did it. My father he says we're not in their club. They discriminate against us highly, and and I learned those lessons in jobs. I learned those lessons and in life that they weren't going to let me be in their. I couldn't run for politics in my county because it was so WASP oriented. I couldn't do that. I was discriminated against highly. I had to leave my town to get an education because as soon as I would put in for my social service report, it would get removed because of my name. So I had to redo my civil service report like 3 times, and then I had to go out of that county because as soon as I sent it in, they would take it, they would remove it off. You know why that was? So I couldn't go to college
Damn, it's
because
messed up.
if I didn't have the social service report on there. You know when I found out about this? After I got out of the Army, I applied for schooling, and I had a full grant because of what I did in the Army. And I said, I was in the Army already. Why would I have my drill sergeant send it in for me? We did it in front of him. Again and again, it got removed. And I was like, I had to call it and say, I got turned down for granting because of that. And then I figured out, man, I just have to start paying every course one by one.
Man, that's like that must have been like a freaking slap to the face, practically.
Yeah, yeah. And this is how this world works. No one has to explain to me bigotry. No one has to explain to me how I was ostracized. I lived it. It has a lot
Yeah,
to do with the war in Ireland. It has a lot to do with they want slaves, and that's what they seen us as. They
uh, this is why I've hated the way the world worked for the longest time. I mean, people will change words around so long as it fits a narrative. My experiences were quite funny growing up because whenever people saw my mom and they saw my dad, they would try to draw this weird connection and go, "Oh, are you adopted?" I'm like, "No, these are my biological parents." And I remember going to school and having to like fight a bunch of kids because my my mom, like, they either thought that she was like, I don't know, Hispanic or some variation or white or whatever, and that wasn't even like the like my mom, like, I don't have a drop of Hispanic blood in my body, like, period. But it was funny. It just goes to show you how stupid a lot of people are. And I remember, like, when I went to school, like the black kids and the white kids didn't like each other, but the one thing they agreed on is that they did not like me.
yeah, the one thing I used to have a friend in the Army. He was what was called. He would call himself a what's the word for he was Hispanic and he was black and he was a small portion of white and in New York.
Oh, multiracial or triracial or something like that.
Yeah,
There's terms for it.
there was a name for him, and he says, "Don't worry about it, Joe. They all hate me.
Yeah.
Everybody hates me." He was, what did he call himself? There was a name for it that explains the whole thing, and we hung around. We got on great, and it was like one of my best friends, and he was from New York, so. And I was from Cleveland, so we had the same kind of upbringing where we were very poor. He was from Harlan, and I was from Cleveland. And we were very poor, and we knew kind of how to make money when we needed to make money. We knew how to do those things. So is like your group, you kind of attach to people that are street smart and that sort of thing. It's like yeah.
Yeah, and it's good to have that. It's good to have that connection. I mean, a lot of people laugh at me when I say this,
He was
but
Milan.
yeah, well, I think that's the name for it. A lot of people laugh when I say this, but some of the friends I did make when I was growing up were like Russian and Latvian. They're like, damn, this dude does. And everyone's like, damn, this dude has like a lot of Eastern European friends. And one day I had a friend ask me why. I was like, well, because just similar mentality. Yeah, we fought. Yeah, we cussed each other out. But at the end of the day, I was able to make friends like based off of that. And in terms of the biracial or multiracial,
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
had I had to explain this to a good friend of mine who was from Jamaica, and he got mad at me because he said, "What's the difference between biracial and multiracial?" I was like, "Well, one of my parents would hit the biracial category, and I said bi is two, multi is three or more, usually just three." And it was quite funny because one time we went to this I don't know if they still have Sonics around. I don't know if they went out of business or not, but
yeah. Oh my God.
we used to go to Sonics.
Sorry.
It was pretty funny. We used to go to Sonics, man, and I stopped being that dude's friend, or rather, he stopped being my friend. Because one day he was mad that we had this friend named Ryan. Ryan's a German dude that was really into Jamaican chicks, and this dude goes on like a rampage, like, "Oh, Ryan need to stick to his own, f him," and I'm just like drinking, not even really thinking about it. And then I told him, well, Ryan can date who he wants to date. I don't see why you gotta, dick police him. I mean, that's his life. That's what he wants to do. What's your deal? And then he shifts off and goes on a rant about, he's like, well, if they have a kid, that kid's gonna be messed up, and da 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 da. And he goes on this like 15-minute thing almost about how messed up mixed children are or whatnot. And then I say nothing. I go back to drinking. My mom comes around. I was like, and before my mom like comes to pick me up, I was about maybe 15, 16 at the time. I told him, yeah, you're completely right, man. Watch out for those multiracial kids. I hear sometimes they just leap across and stab people out with straws, man. Just watch out for them. They're freaking dangerous. I got out and
Yeah,
I
you're
just left.
sarcastic with them. Yeah, you know what? You know what these people refuse to believe in and everything is. When I was searching for a woman, I was searching for a woman with sexual diversity. It's biological diversity, and biological diversity comes in so many ways. It says we've learned from the Isle of Man and the West Virginia hills that we don't intermate with ourselves for so long. So what I was looking for, what I decided was attractive at that time, which I was really wrong about, was was a French girl. She had darker skin, French girl, where I thought, well, that's, and then I learned about biological diversity. Biological diversity is what keeps us alive. There's 12 tribes to this world, and if one of those tribes disappear, the world disappears because we all end up too close in diversity, and it's so important for the extension of humanity. Not just there's no race in that. It's humanity. If we're going to go on in this world, you're not looking for someone like you. You're just looking for something with biological diversity that's slightly different than you. And then even in the idea of the womb and everything, that's what the womb's looking for: biological diversity. Something as soon as I hate to say it and talk about it because sperm, and as soon as it hits that and the egg, and there's a coating, a protein coating over that says the biological diversity is too close, it immediately sends out a chemical into the womb that does kill all those sperm, and then she saves one of them, and it attaches to her wall. That's what the guys talk about with the sperm attaching to the wall of the womb. Well, that's for the reason is that so she can identify what not to mate with in the future. And it's like it's the reason why little girls hate their fathers. It explains so much. Biological diversity explains so much. It explains sexual cryptis. Explains thing. It's the reason. And I had to explain this to one guy. Why does my little girl hate me? Well, she's supposed to, because you represent everything she never wants to mate with.
Exactly.
And
you know what's pretty? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's deeply ingrained in her in all of our DNA.
And I completely agree with you, man. Like I was laughing because this reminded me of something somebody was telling me when it came to people saying, oh, you should date someone who looks like your parent or something. I used to hear this a lot in my early 20s. And one day I told this dude that told me this, why would I want to date someone that looks like my mom? That's kind of creepy.
That's kind of creepy. No, we see guys do this all the time. There's this, and I say, no, that's wrong all the time to these people. It's like there's this similar aspect of people like myself, and people start breeding with people like themselves. That's so dangerous because you're going to end up with two things are going to happen. First of all, the gene is not going to get a male gene. You're not going to get a Y because the male gene carries the reduced amount. It's smaller. It carries a reduced amount of information in there. That's a quantitative information that says you get a boy child now because you did it right. Sexual diversity was fulfilled. And either you're going to get a girl child, which is saying try again, or you're going to have large boys that are really good in their head and are really fit boys, and then you fulfill diversity. If you don't fulfill diversity, you have we're not allowed to say the R word. You're going to have slightly malformed children.
Well, we'll just say special. We're going to have very
special needs children, right? And I think that the autism nowadays that you see is like people aren't fulfilling diversity. We have to fill diversity at a larger level nowadays, and that will irritate the racist, the Luigi. Don't be a Luigi, and that want to have this German race. It's like the perfect race or something. No, that doesn't work that way in the real world.
And you know what a lot of race realists don't understand? I mean, first off, race realism is a pseudoscience, and secondly, and me and many others proved this a long time ago. I mean, when you have an island, or pretend we just had an island, and the people only mate amongst themselves, the reason why that's so dangerous is because at some point you're going to have cousin getting with cousin, brother getting with sister, and inbreeding will happen.
Inbreeding will happen. That's what I was talking about. Yes. Look at the Polynesian islands with the big statues on them. What happened in those islands? Well, first of all, I give this with there's an inherent need in the human to have a god. So they built those big god statues, and that took care of their culture. And then there was a lot of inbreeding on it because that was separated from the. And then what happened during a certain period of time is Christianity came, and you can look at this whole thing as a perfect example of how what happens when now took over the culture and everything, and then by that time they were through, they were done because they inbreeded themselves out of existence. But now it shows you the whole the way things really work in this world. And then there was the Isle of Man, which is in England, that they went way overboard with that. Oh, you can see it in the West Virginia hills with the Irish too. That joke about them West Virginians are a little bit different. That's true because of biological diversity wasn't fulfilled. So, we're smarter now. We know these things, and they're just hanging on to them old bits of the barbarianism that we thought we got rid of at the Civil War, but we really didn't.
That's why I tell people tribalism has its good points, but as it stands, it's obsolete. You can't be this super tribalistic person in the modern era. I don't know why people are so hell bent on having that. Like, if that's the case, if people want to be so tribalistic, okay, give up technology, give up modern medicine, give up everything, go live in the mountains or something. At that point, I'd almost understand it, but they won't do this, and so to me, it's just kind of a lukewarm mentality of trying to romanticize that which was or wasn't at some point. They just kind of have this idea, and I think it's kind of interesting to me because I used to go to art museums, man, and look at modern art and do
Yeah,
research on how people used to live. I admire them for their strength, tenacity, cunningness, etc. But I don't want to live at 1900 BC or something like that, because then I think like, oh crap, if I get sick, I'm done for.
yeah, yeah. Now, see, there's this Luigi Destroy gives a good point too. There's this idea that diversity can't be fulfilled within. He's taken and extending it to a bigotry that he has about an extreme. Now, like I said, when I wanted to fulfill diversity in my children, I looked for a French girl because I was Irish, so my genes would never had crossed, and it gave really good children. My children are they're hugely smart, and they do well in this world, and I should be, if anything, me and my ex should be very proud of what we did with a simple decision of diversity. We, and We have great kids, but there's this idea they take it to the extreme and they say that's the what's it? It, they'll take it to the extreme and they'll say, well, that's where it is. That's where it's wrong, and that's not where it's wrong. That's the exception to the rule, not the rule. And I can tell how stupid these Luigi guys are because the exception to the rule doesn't make it a rule.
And that's what's pretty funny about it. I did my DNA test and had it broken up and everything, and man, my family just ended up all over. I mean, from
All over.
America,
It's
from
great.
Amer- from America to the islands to a lot of North and Western Europe. And my friend asked me, he's like, "Well, why not just aim at Western Europe?" I was like, "Well, I aim at Eastern Europe because I straight up told this one girl that was interested in me. She said, "Oh, you hate yourself or whatever. You don't want to date anyone. You don't want to date anyone that looks like you." And I listened to her for about 5 minutes, and
I want to date my mom.
I told her, I'm like at least around 200 pounds. I said, I don't want to date any woman that even remotely reminds me of myself because that's at that point when I just date a dude. I mean, that's just kind of,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the way you're supposed to see it.
you
With
know,
feminine
I'm,
and
I'm not attracted to myself or anything similar. So I
I'm
told her,
not
why would I
attracted
want
to dudes.
to? So why would I want a woman that looks like me or anything like that? So I think
Oh, I was gonna
diversity is normal. It's normal to feel that way because we don't.
right culturally too. It matters why you hang around with Lithuanian and people because you know who the proletariat are.
Yeah,
So you have a common bond in that. They know who the proletariat is. You're the working guy. You know that. You don't want to be that working guy. You don't want to be the whole idea of the Marxist idea of proletariat and Burgess and everything. So yeah, that would be culturally attractive to you.
and that's why you know, I really enjoyed it. Some people hated it. I had friends that said, "Oh man, everyone here is racist. I hate this place," and I didn't really experience a lot of that. I mean, sure, they're pricks, yeah, but I didn't experience a lot of that because I didn't walk in there with a mentality that everybody needs to adapt for me. I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
people that have an entitlement about them to where they think everyone should just bend the knee to them, and that's how drama starts, man. Because
Right. Yeah.
you know, culture is something that's taught, and a lot of people don't understand this. Like, especially with the younger generation, they think that if they have a child, then they've passed on every possible, like, just it's gonna be encoded. The kid's gonna automatically know about A, B, and C. And I told my friend, you passed on genetics, sure, but if you care so much about the culture, then you teach it to them. You go, okay, this is what my dad or my mom taught
Right.
me. You don't have to do it this way, but if you can, take it and maybe, advance on it, or, make it work for you, that's great. It might not be, as useful as it once was, but just try to take some small remnants of it and do what you can with it. At the
Oh,
very least, that's all we can do, because I don't know how the future is going to be. And I say the same thing to my god kids. One day I won't be around. And so just try to think of me as fondly as you can.
remember what you come from. Remember who you are, because there's important lessons in that. At least for me, it was. Uh, there was important lessons. I had to always observe who I was, because I knew there was this other group that wanted to destroy me based on their racism. And yeah,
It's, it's very sad that things are like that with some people. They can't get over the primitive tribalism and learn to think with their head. I'm not saying everybody got to like one another, but damn, people going around shouting race war and all this other
yeah.
stuff. It's hilarious to me. I
Oh,
already
yeah,
explained to one person what would happen if we had a race war. There'd be no winners because the government would step in and kill the winner.
yeah,
So there's not going to be a
yeah.
winner.
We wonder why Trump is so attractive to these people. And I often question, why is that guy so? Well, he's a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And yeah, he's part of their group. That's why he would be attractive to that. And that's yes, he's exactly what they want. And he believes in totalitarianism. He believes there should be a rich king god. It's like, yeah, that's why that just went through it. And I would request that anybody that listens to me critically analyze what we just seen.
Yeah, I mean, he has that kind of dogma. I mean, I realize why people listen to him. Just like I hate the dude. The dude has a funny charisma about him that we haven't seen. It's not new, but it's just something that we haven't seen in quite a while. Maybe a few short generations or whatnot.
Right. Yeah. Now you think about what just presently happened and the dialectic of how this thing changed. They'll say, well, it didn't really change all that much with Joe. No, it changed dramatically with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the polar opposite. He's the Irish Christian that they tried to enslave. It's like, why was that? My buddy comes to me all the times, and quite a racist, and he bothers me. And I know the guy since I was just a kid, so he comes around, to say hello and stuff. But he goes with that, they're taking over. They're taking over. They're breeding at such a rate that they're taking over. And he's talking, who they are.
Yeah,
I was like, no, that's not true. And I had to pull up the stats. You know what the largest growing demographics in America are?
it would be between. Tell me because I haven't checked in a while. I always thought it
Yeah,
was the Spanish speaking population.
it's a German and Irish.
German and Irish.
German and Irish. That's the
Oh
largest.
yeah, that's because we still have the. I think the Amish are largely the kind of thing for
German.
that as well.
Yeah, they're German, and then there's the whole white Anglo-Saxon thing that goes along with the German and the tribes of the Germanic tribes of Saxony. Them people are mating like crazy.
Oh yeah, they're having children left and right, man, and that's why hell, people. It's funny. I mean, people have this thing to where it's like a us versus them
Yeah,
mentality. Oh, they're taking over, taking our
they're
job,
taking over. Yeah,
taking our women.
yeah. I wanted to talk about that a little today too, because we're seeing a migration right now that's happening to my area. I live in the north, and they're coming for our gerbs, the immigrants, and that doesn't happen in my area. I noticed that there's been a migration up, but it's not the people you would think. Yeah, we have a lot of around this time of the year, a lot of greenhouses open right here, and you need qualified people in the greenhouses that have worked in the greenhouses before. And you know what that group is?
Yep, it be the immigrants, you know.
It's not who everybody thinks it is, because I see it every year, and it just happened as hillbillies from West Virginia, uh, uh, people from white people from Virginia, West Virginia, and they migrate up to this area and they live here for the summer because it's great here in the summer too. It's a water wonderland, and we have a lot of greenhouse work that happens. So because all these plants have to start growing right now, so they have time to grow in the summer, in our actual summer. But one of them tried to steal the camera off my bike. I went up to the store and I was like, "Oh, geez, there's one of them." And there's a West Virginia hillbillies that migrate. Oh, and I thought, "Oh, they're coming now." And as soon as I went in the store, he tried to steal the camera off my bike.
And it's always the semi-locals doing stuff.
Yeah, the GoPro is like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus, now I got to lock it down. I got to figure out a way where I can lock it on there. And I like to do the GoPro if I catch a gap. And I like to have it on film that I did.
West Virginia hillbillies.
Yeah, we get a large portion of them coming up here for the seasonal work starting, and that's so anti-contrary to their idea of immigration. It's like, wait a second, there's white immigrants too that rely on this sort of work. When you're talking about these people, you're generally not talking about it. There's English immigrants, there's Italian immigrants, there's Irish immigrants, this is a diverse thing you're talking about here. But they always go in their mind that exception to the rule. Oh, they're all Hispanic.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing about earlier. That's what I was about to laugh about earlier when I mentioned immigrants. That there are people that just tell on themselves without you saying anything. They
tell on themselves. They tell them their ignorance and their non-knowledge of these specific situations, and these are people that I find it hard to teach. And I always find that when people are closed off, they close off their interest, their personality traits are. They're not extroverted people. They're not curious people. They display no openness to learn things, and that's a lot of their personality. That's what we're talking about today, by the way, the personality trait that of cognitive closure, how people get cognitive closure in their life, and that's a real thing. It tells about all of your personality traits, about your unwillingness. Some people have a real unwillingness to delve into and examine the world that they live in. So this fantasy fiction thing comes around, they believe in it. And you know what that is in our society now? It's that what is
the
it?
degeneracy.
Yeah, the conspiracy theories are so easy to believe because people get quick, fast cognitive closure. And that's where my whole thing was going to go today. Is like, that's where it goes. If you're a person that doesn't examine the world around them, then and you attach to them quick conspiracy theories, that's the way you get cognitive closure. The fantasy fiction world arises, and then that's the way the alt-right builds all their bullshit. Because there are people that have low tolerances to ambiguity. They can't take it. They can't think about it. They can't do it. It explodes their minds. They're not genetically fit for that.
I call it quick fix theory, to where, instead of understanding a situation, they'd rather just believe the easier thing.
Yeah, I loved it the other day when we were talking about how me, you, and Joey got closure on when we became MGTOWs. And it describes a process that we had to go through, and we had to reach out and look at the epistemological world and see what was true.
Well, I'd say one thing too about that is, it's not fun when you're in a relationship with a female long term, or when you see these people that are married, they're not having fun. Part of life, big part of life, you should be enjoying your life, and you don't see married people doing that. You don't see people in long term relationships doing it. Like you said, it's all that it's that long term hatredship.
Yeah.
Where they're just fucking and fighting, and it's like that doesn't look like fun. It looks like a lot of stress. So that was one of the reasons too
That was Jordan Peterson, and
that I
it's
moved
like,
to MGTOW.
remove that stress because you get to mate with the partner every night, and you're using
Yeah,
her as a penis pocket every night to relieve stress that she was causing anyways by the relationship that you were living in. That seems like a rotisserie thinking there.
They actually did this experiment with the mice that I watched a long time ago, to where they put a male mouse and a female mouse in this closed, confined little rectangle box, and for
Oh, the
days they were mating like crazy.
yeah.
They were mating like crazy. They
Oh, yeah,
inseparable.
that's good. Yeah.
And then after a while, the male rat goes over to the furthest corner of the box. He just sits there and stares at the two corners of the wall.
The
And they
beautiful.
couldn't figure out why he was doing this. Like, he doesn't want to be near her. He just wants to stare at this wall, that the furthest corner of the box in this wall.
Mhm.
And so what happened was the female came over to him, and then he immediately turned and damn near killed her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the mouse experiment. Tells it tells about sexual diversity. When sexual diversity breaks down in our societies, and we're confined inside these areas, what will happen? I think that's what MGTOW is a lot. He turned into the beautiful ones are the MGTOWs walk away from that and they go, you know, we got to end this. I need more freedom. I need to get out of this box. I need other options of mating. I, I, I need to fix diversity in this thing. There's so many things calling within my body that I can no longer do that. So what did he do? He went over to the corner and he groomed himself, and that's why they called them the beautiful ones, because they were better groomed. They were better. They were thinking about what was happening, and the colonies died out eventually
Yep,
because
because
the females started eating the babies, which we see now. Uh, the females will turn against their siblings. They will decide that there's not enough diversity in them. They will start the males will start fighting. The beta
I
males
mean,
that stay in the arena will start fighting, and then eventually the colony dies out.
exactly. Hell, you see it now. I can't tell you how many times I've seen women in competition with their own children, in competition with their daughters, sometimes in competition with their own sons, and sacrificing them so that they can get ahead in life. And it's really messed up. And when you try to tell women about this or tell anyone about this, they'll go, "Oh, you're blaming the women." Yes, because they are the primary ones raising the messed up kids. So, yes,
Yeah,
I am
the
blaming them.
primary one raising. Yeah, I wanted to say to Jim Jim McNay. Yes, introverted and extroverted is one of the personality traits, and you can be introverted and pay close attention to the observable facts and things, but you still have to that distance between what you're gonna the ambiguity that you're gonna take is what we're talking about. One of the personality traits is I can't. Hexaco is the how they describe that. It's honest. I don't believe in the honesty thing because it's in direct conflict with neuroticism. But uh, yeah, that's another part of the personality trait that comes in. And I was going to go into that in the next chapter that I'm going to read, and probably another thing down about cultural effects. Stardust just talked about the cultural affectation, about how people experience their affect emotions. And I was going to go into that in a later, but sometimes I think I'm uselessly talking about this stuff because it just goes, whoa.
I think it's good to talk about this kind of stuff, because whenever I don't understand something, I'll go and look up the word. And like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like when I watch your streams, I learn a lot about, like, sometimes even by myself. I'll go and look at like your content, I'll look at mine, and I think that as I become older,
Yeah, it's a big
I think I'm
five.
entering an age to where, things just don't bother me as much anymore. I like, it's hard for me to make content because everything I've done was so reactionary, and now it's just, you get freaking tired. I still like comedy. I still like
Oh,
perform
yeah.
and whatnot, but I want to level up my own comedy, if that makes any sense, to where it hits even harder.
Yeah, you could have a intellectual sarcasm and irony and do intellectual sarcasm and irony, and that's funnier because it's a fact.
That's what I've been trying to do on my own channel. I don't know if you see in my videos, but like people, I like to get people laughing because if they're laughing, they're thinking, and if they're happy, they're not angry. So I've had people watch my videos, leave, then come back, and they go, "Yeah, he was BSing and making jokes, but he made some really good points too," and that's what I enjoy
Yeah.
because
Well, you're
it's
open
hard.
minded. You're conscientious.
And I enjoy this because I realized it's hard to just outright give somebody the red pill. That's why there needs to be a good, diversity, even among content, you know?
Yeah, yeah, because it makes it more interesting, and yeah. So I go into a lot of these things. And Joey always tells me when he goes back and looks up. Sometimes it's hard to take what I say, like the fatherhood and stuff. But when you go look at the facts, you'll come to the same. You'll come to because I've already done the research on most of this stuff, and it's like you'll come to the same. He says, "Oh, Joe, I've never heard him tell a lie." But it comes off to people. That's why I like to talk about the incommensurability problems in human language. And to some people, the what I call the conservative bias. Even though they hear a truth, they're just going to go back with what they thought before because it's easier.
It kind of reminds me of this movie. I don't know if you or anyone in the comment section have seen this movie. This movie is called Sausage Party, and I highly advise
Oh, I think
everyone go
I've
watch.
seen it once. Yeah, but I can't remember what it was about.
It was about this food. All of the food, is like, alive, like and everything like people are, and
Yeah.
they're waiting to be bought from the store so they can go to the great
Oh yeah.
beyond.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very it makes fun of religion in the most logical and funniest way. That's why I was laughing. They think that they're going to go off to the great beyond where they'll be loved forever, and it'll be like a place of bliss. And when actuality is just humans, it's us eating them. And
Yeah.
so when the mustard gets take bought, the
Yeah.
lady brings the mustard back and they put the mustard back on the shelf instead of like just throwing away.
Yeah.
And Ketchup's like, what's wrong with you, man? Dude, that mustard was like, get your hands off of me, you bastard! Like, I've seen the great beyond. It's BS. You're living a lie. You're all living a lie. And that's kind of I hate to
Yeah,
say it,
that's a great
but
MGTOW little cartoon there. That it shows a lot of like I can't remember how it ended, but I always used to think about that. I was like, that's real MGTOW stuff.
yeah, that mustard got red pilled so quick, man. He ended up jumping off the damn basket because and just outright taking himself out because he got it all at once. It
Yeah, he
wasn't
got one
gradually.
once. Yeah,
That
yeah,
reality is pretty damn harsh, and
right.
that's what it's like, man. Because every time the humans would people would come into the store, all of the food would start singing this song like "Dear Gods," and that's exactly how religion is. Even
Yeah,
outside of religion, there are people that have that mentality, and that sausage that
right.
tried to explain to them how stupid they were being. Oh,
Yeah,
they wanted to kill him immediately, and one of them said the
right.
funniest, most honest thing. The cereal box or something
Yeah,
turned and said, "Oh, that can't be true. Look at how happy everyone is here." And I don't know which one of them said it, whether it be the cereal or someone else, but someone said, "We'd rather believe the happier thing."
right. Yeah, we'd rather believe the happier thing. That's easier to because there you know there's no cognitive dissonance in our brain then. We just believe it and we go with it. That's where the world is. It tells a lot about people's personalities. I rarely find a MGTOW that doesn't extend their periods of uh, uh, of closure. They need to get a closure that's not ambiguous, that's right, it goes along with knowledge of the world and everything. And that's where MGTOW really we dig deep into these things. It's not just something that you're going to learn by the MGTOW analogies. We see a lot of the guys, they come around, and especially in the all right, they attach automatically to those MGTOW sayings, and that becomes the easier way to close it out for them. But it's not really knowing about MGTOW. You can know of MGTOW. It doesn't mean you know about MGTOW. That's the first rule in AP Press when you're writing is you can know about something, It doesn't mean you know. You can know of something. It doesn't mean you know about something about it.
And and that's why I get upset about stuff. Like I hate Luigi left. I want him to come up on the stream and speak his truth. I mean, but guys like that, they normally just tire themselves out. That's why I told nobody just don't do nothing about it. Just let them do it. They'll get tired of the
Yeah,
BS.
he's over at his group right now, telling him how he come over and he told me off, and he's the typical simp. When you run into the skinny simp, and I ran into this. I always tell this story. There was this guy, and he was the skinny guy who was always simping, and he had this girlfriend, and she was talking to me outside of I was the maintenance manager, and she was talking to me, and he got really jealous and everything. He started yelling at me and everything. And then I walked from behind a van that I was like, and I says, what? And he was running away from me while yelling at me how lucky I was.
God, the epic simpery, man, and
The simpery in that is like, yeah, you're so lucky that I don't stay around, and it's like, come on. Come on. I
I
was like,
I just I learned to laugh at people like that, man, because it's really hilarious.
you know
I
what
don't
I
know.
did? You know what happened in that? He was such a simp that, and she was wanting new carpet in her apartment. That's why she was talking to me. And I was like, I can get you the new carpet. It'll just take like a month, but I couldn't do that now because I was like, I can't go down there. This simp guy's going to be like all over me. So he cost her new carpet.
Damn, that is freaking hilarious. I don't know if I mentioned this last stream, but that Ask Nathaniel life coach dude, he got his female co-host or some woman he was like to do some research. She looked up the Wikipedia version of what MGTOW is, and she was using levels. He pulls it up on the screen in order to debate me and another MGTOW. And in my mind, I'm thinking, "Don't destroy this guy! Don't destroy this guy!"
Oh, this is so precious.
I had to stop myself because I was ready to like end that man's whole career just by value of that. But I held back and said, you know what, this is not my fight because we don't even use a level system. You got a woman to look
No.
up a term that you didn't feel would take the time or energy to look up yourself. And I know he doesn't watch my videos, so I'm
Yeah,
not really worried about like dropping out there.
here, it,
But
it, the level system's an easy, quick, the 1, 2, 3 make down, and then you have monks on one side is sort of sort of scientifically right, but really wrong. It's
yeah,
just one of those. It's a quick explanation that tells you about the two sides of the group, and then the monks over here, which they really hate. That's why they called us monks. And it was pure Sandman. And then the level 1 and level 2, that it's okay just to be a little MGTOW. Everybody's a little MGTOW.
yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I don't have a problem with people to use a level system, but it's like so base to me at this point because to me it's a
Yeah,
lot deeper. It's way
it's a
deeper than
lot
that.
deeper than that, and it goes on to your growing process. Where are you growing at in MGTOW? How do you answer these questions when asked them and everything? And what is your ideology on life? What is your philosophy on life?
This is why I always use like for me I use categories, and I think a lot of MGTOW use different categories. And this is the best analogy that I gave them, and they told me this was an indirect answer. I told them, okay, if you want the really quick guide to MGTOW, screw that Wikipedia thing because he was
Yeah,
reading the definition. Okay, misogynist to hate women, and that's why I laughed because the Wikipedia version paints us all as misogynists, which we are not. And
right.
I
Yeah,
and I
I
told him, I tell him this. I said, treat MGTOW like planet Mars or something. You could come over here and there's different, I wouldn't say levels, but there's different kingdoms, no leaders, but there's
right.
different regions. Or here you got the,
Region kingdoms.
yeah, like the Avatar, you got the water tribe, the
Yeah,
fire tribe over here. And we come together like when we need to. Everyone has their own beliefs and stuff, but we come together for a common, you know, cause when necessary. And that's the best analogy that I can think of to describe MGTOW. But despite me and another guy explaining to them for over 2 hours what it was, they
they balked
did
it.
not. Yeah, they bonked it, tried to invalidate me, and And in feminine fashion, they were trying to ask me about my personal life and my personal
Oh,
experiences in order
yes, that's
to.
where they go. That's why I refuse to do that. That's the mature MGTOW monk knows. We don't ask, we don't tell.
Yeah, and never once, I noticed this, never once did I ask Nate or anybody on that stream their age or what they do for a living because it was irrelevant to the conversation. They can't they can't stay on topic, and that's
Right.
why
It's a
I got
diversion from the topic, and we know that as soon as we start talking about them things.
that's why I got bored and left, man, because it wasn't an engaging conversation anymore. It was just like dude had me on that screen so he could try to grill me, and it failed epically because I don't really care people what people want to say about me or my channel, and it's
Right.
funny because
You
when
know
I
why
started.
they do that? Because they're trying to work back to the you guys are gay.
Oh yeah,
It's
they got mad because I.
rotary thinking. They're working back. They've went all the way out. Now they have to introduce sex and sexual your sexual properties or whatever you think and then they have to work it back to the and then they'll be like, boom, gotcha. You're all gay. That's
I'm not gonna lie. Some chick did trigger me, not because she was calling me gay, even though it was pissing me off, but it pissed me off because that coupled with the fact that she tried to extort money from me on live air, man, that still kind of got me. I never had anyone try to do that to me
yeah.
before. She
See,
said, "Be a
that's what
man."
happens. That's what we're saying happens. They try to extort money from you.
She wanted me to pay money as an apology. She said, "Pretend I'm a man. You know, you demonetize this stream. You were cussing and saying stuff that hurt women's feelings. Be a real man. Man up. Put your money where your mouth is. And I want to see the donation in the stream." And I was just laughing the entire time. I was like, "Well, you're not man or woman. You're not the host, so I'm not gonna donate money." And then she got mad when I told her I'll donate money as long as I'm getting since I'm so such a fag and whatnot,
Well, that fight for the MGTOW money is grows. Yeah, they're fighting to try to get the MGTOW money, the SIP money, and that ruins a lot of other things too. They came over to my. There was 3 events, and what they're really trying to do is inhibit my growth. And
that's why you got to stay away from them. Like, I know that you know this, but I didn't know this because I thought I was walking into a stream for healthy dialogue. Because, man, you know me, I just kind of I hop everywhere. I try to be cool with everyone. Some days I don't even talk about MGTOW stuff to them unless the only time I talk about it is when someone wants to talk about it to me or they bring it up. But typically, I don't even jump in streams talking about. I talk about the topic at hand, and I
right.
noticed that a lot of these blue pillars they can't even stick to their own title, can't stick to their own topic.
No, because they try
And
to drift off into other topics to make their monetizable channel better and everything. And all they're looking at is MGTOW as a brand. They're going after a certain segment of the YouTube sphere so they can grab some of that segment and take it to their brand. And that's when it becomes hurtful. We've seen Mayor MGTOW do that. We've seen other MGTOWs do that, where they drag large amounts of money out of MGTOW, and we've never had any brick and mortar built because of them facts. We need to decide, like, okay, my channels, I ask for donations here. You know what I use every dime of those donations for?
views.
What's that?
Oh, what's that? What do you use?
No, I have a $2,000 computer here. I have a sound system, but I still don't have a soundboard. I pay $29 a month for this, and I use that back for the MGTOW into the MGTOW product that I'm putting out. And I don't have a soundboard yet because where we can do phone calls and stuff. Because well, Mayor MGTOW walked away with $30,000.
Damn.
But then people immediately attack. That's why they immediately attack the resident MGTOWs so they can get the MGTOW money. And you'll notice that a lot. We have to put an end to that and decide where we're going to put our money at and what things. I always thought it was SFM building his. If you want a really honest guy that's going to put the money into a. He's building right now, even at his own expense. He's building a what do you call those big boards? With the multiple server. He's building a server.
Oh, the one of them private servers or something.
Yeah, so MGTOW would have a server then, and we wouldn't have to rely on YouTube.
Yeah, we definitely need one, and if he ever, I would donate money to that. If he ever gets that up,
Right.
I'd like to go on it because I like MGTOW TV, but it just takes me way too long to get my videos up there. That's the problem.
Right.
Like
Now, if
the
we had
waiting.
a server, that's what we should have been working on. And that's some of that brick and mortar I was talking about, which we should have had, but everybody jumped off to finance MGTOW, which the guy just walked off with our, and he should be going to jail about that, but no one's ever. I don't think we're the kind of people that report them to the IRS or something, because then we'll all be questioned about every one of our that's
Yeah,
every one of our exploits in life and what we do and everything. But yeah, that was important during that time not to get not to be so gullible. But MGTOW was still gullible because we had a lot of group guys like us that were still, man, we're floundering through this thing and it's so hard. And
it really is. I mean, you know what I wish what I could do, and I've been working on this for a while. I used to offer what was called wilderness therapy for a
yeah,
lot of people,
nature
and
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
nature
very
therapy,
familiar.
and it was something that I just did out of pocket because I learned
Yeah,
about herbs and whatnot, and I went and did this out of pocket. Sometimes people, I like whenever I get paid, I just say pay me whatever you want, or we could just sit here and talk. I told one guy, he was very surprised by this because he used to hang out with me in the woods. He's like, "You don't want me to pay you?" I was like, "Okay, did you bring the whiskey?" He's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
okay."
You get a 6 pack because that would be like what you could say.
So bring me some alcohol out, and I'll keep talking for as long as you need me
No,
here.
we do these things as MGTOW too. We all have our certain things, and this is where the MGTOW community is important. You do that. I do what I do here. You do nature therapy. I do. You notice that there's a lot of guys that come through. That these are guys that have been ex-divorced guys that are homeless. They come through my house. I fund that whole thing. I fund this thing. It cost at the beginning. It costed me like 30 some $1,000s to do this, and nobody. I got no help from the men's rights groups.
Yeah, the MRAs were just a hustle in itself,
Yeah,
and I will let you know.
well, yeah. While all the money was going to the girls over there,
Yeah,
we had something real that never developed here. This was a
and
group home for men.
and this is why I warned these idiots. Like I warned them many years ago. I saw where it was going. People ask me all the time, Black Bull, why don't you ever go up in streams where women are there? Why don't you ever have women in your streams? Because it doesn't matter whether they're a good or bad person. They
It doesn't
terraform the whole damn stream
matter.
to where everybody's white knighting for them, or they try to
That
change the
girl, she
top.
was trying to get the donations out of the MGTOW money.
Exactly, and that's why I stopped going to places. I got a video in the works right now that I'm done with. I haven't uploaded yet about like me just politely dissing the dude. But like I'm not even like name dropping the dude, but these guys need to be avoided because along with their female orbiters because it's just going to turn into a Mike the MGTOW Rose Blade situation.
Oh
That's
yeah. Oh my
really
God.
what it is.
No, I like Rose. I think she sees MGTOW for what we are, and she agrees with it and everything. But she was always going after Mike because she recognized Mike as a simp.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, to separately. Like when she's separate, I ain't had much of an issue with it. Just them together is like oil and a match, man.
Oh yeah, it was like, and it was so cringy to. It was almost like saying this is what MGTOW is, and that's not what MGTOW is. We're not pillow fighting with feminists. We're not pillow fighting with the girls. We don't mind nor care what they do. I don't mind nor care what they do out there. As long as I keep myself here, I'm not affected.
And a lot of men would be mad at you just for doing that.
Right.
How dare he not go out there and suffer like me? Ah, what's wrong with him?
Why
He
don't
must be
you have
gay. He
pillow
must be
fights with
that.
feminists? Because I don't do that.
You
But
know,
that's the big MRA thing is having pillow fights with feminists.
this is why I just avoid them. I mean, the kind of therapy that I provide, at least back then, I mean, Corona kind of messed this up, but I
Yeah,
used to tell people, hey, if you want me to talk one on one, like I used to do a one on one thing. Sometimes I do a group if it was necessary. And if you can believe it or not, I used to teach people how to manage their anger because I would teach about stoic masculinity, and I tell them it's okay to get pissed, it's okay to get angry, just be in control of that anger,
Right.
control that,
Yeah, I had to
even
deal
if
with
you're
that
yelling.
last year when I was deciding on two guys I was going to bring in here. The two guys didn't get along, so I had to decide on one guy that was more needy, and the other guy I'm still kind of hanging on, hoping that I could do something for him someday, and 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 kind of introduced to MGTOW and everything. That's what I do. I bring them through. It's a temporary. You can get temporary lodging here if you're off a divorce or something, and you don't have nothing. You have nowhere to live. So I offer temporary lodging so they can get back on their feet, uh, and everything. But the choice was, but the toxic masculinity, and the two guys were fighting, and it was like that warring thing. Oh man, it forced me into a bad decision.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. It's hard. I mean, that's why I commend what you do, man. You're helping way more people than me. I try to, like with my content, I tell people as long as I'm able to help one person, that's good enough for me. That is my
Yeah.
donation. That is my
Well, yeah,
payment.
that's where the whole theory of what we do is like if you could take a guy out in the woods, get some nature theory in him, get him, and I was kind of going to share what you can do with these guys. It's sort of a exposure therapy. Uh, while you're doing it, is buy a little one of those cameras and tell them to shoot the world as you see it before you show up here, and then we go out into nature, and then. After we talk, after we have whatever days that you're allotted for that, I want you to reshoot some more film about how you see the world and then show him the difference after he gets in nature between what the camera sees and what the mind's eye sees.
And this is why I tell people, like I told the last guy that I was talking to a few months back, because he told me, he's like, well, you haven't helped me, you can't help me, and da 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 da. This Zen stuff doesn't work for me. And I told him, okay, maybe my way doesn't work for you. I'm gonna give you something that does work. Next time me and you talk, do me a video. Like do me a favor. Go home, get your camera, and do a video, maybe like 5-10 minutes on your life and how you feel living where you live.
Document life.
Document that just in a short way if possible. Come here, hang out for a week, and then do another one. And then when you do that secondary video, I want you to compare both of them
We'll look
between
at the difference
now and
between them.
then.
Yeah, MGTOW is that whole event happening before your eyes, and when you get the exposure from a different, you got to be open minded and conscientious. That's I talk about the big five personality traits all the time. You become a better person. Meanwhile, while you're doing that, and then you see the difference in yourself, and it gives you a gauge. You have a perspective point then to see your life, because until you get that perspective point in your life, you have nothing to gauge your life's growth on.
And and that's good to it's good to tell people that because they keep trying to compare their life with everyone else's instead of
Yeah,
comparing their past to their
no,
own, to their
it's
present.
you. Yeah, it's not everybody else is doing.
It's,
What we're focused on is us. This how we feel about things, and
I,
what
I,
makes us happy.
and I call it chasing happiness. There've been a lot of funny YouTube videos that I use. I like to use clips and movies because
Yeah.
I use a lot of visual aid. I've always kind of used visual aids because I like to just show people and they can gather their own thoughts. And the reason why I don't you may laugh at this. The reason why I don't tell people half the time what I do outside, farming and that is because there's a lot of women, and I'm sure you know this, they go and they get psych degrees. I minored in psych. I do not trust female psychologists because
Yeah.
they they go on feelings and they tell you this really
Yeah.
hilarious stuff. They don't help men. A lot of psychologists do not help men, and they tell you they take this Oprah Dr. Phil approach. When you got
Intuitional
kicked,
thinking.
yeah, and it's so useless. It's like, oh, sir, when you got kicked in the balls and she threw that alligator at you, how does it make you feel?
How does it make you feel? Yeah, that's well. There's a couple different theories in there, and it covers it in that book I gave you the other day to listen to. Uh,
Hmm.
Godfrey Smith's book.
Yeah.
There's a chapter on intuitional thinking, and it's where my analogy is about when someone calls someone a misogynist, is they're having an intuitional feeling about what is misogyny that's not proven, and that's always an opinion. And if you have an opinion about a different gender that's a misogynist, that makes you a misandric. So you're misogynist.
And you know what's so funny? Like I've had people call me that on my own channel before, and I tell them to prove it, and then they'll say, "But you make jokes about women. You say bad things about women." I'm like, "Yeah, I also say bad things about pretty much everybody. So
Yeah,
would you
people
rather me
make
not?"
gender jokes all the time, and feminists make gender jokes about men all the time, and we don't call them on it because it doesn't seem to bother us. It's funny, hey, that's funny. Okay, men are that way. It's like no, yeah, but that goes back to the latitude we give for the moral chains of femininity. We give them more latitude.
Um, to quote one famous rapper, if they can take a joke. They can take take a rod. They can take a joke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny.
You know,
Yeah,
Try
that's what I
to-
started off with today. Was Google erased one of my comments. It's the first time I've ever had it happen where they erased one of my comments, the Google moderator team, and they made a judgment real quickly that that was wrong, and there was nothing wrong about that comment. It was exactly, I could prove every bit of it what I say scientifically, and they erased it. But they had a snap judgment. They made they got cognitive closure through censoring me, and
this
there's another sin in this world. That's the sin.
this is why I laugh. One of the things I find really funny is that people have banned MGTOW stuff for being hate filled, but yet they'll pass off, whole, you know, Nazi propaganda as being historic. You don't see them trying to take that off YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, they don't. It seems like, well, they're having their feelings. Well, it goes back to what we talk about in the portion of that book is intuitional feelings. They have an intuitional feeling, and there's this intersectionality that grows from those where the things are parallel ideas, but they're not same ideas. Now they're having parallel intellect. They're having parallel intuitional feelings and trying to say that's the same thing, and it's not the same thing because men are rational. And then we go about how rational, like there's this postmodernist battle between rationality and female intuition. Now sometimes it's right, sometimes you just get a feeling that something's different. The jumping gene thing wasn't a good example of that. And the jumping gene thing is, why do we get Indian corn? What happens with the corn? Why does it turn all those colors and everything? Well, it's the same thing as sexual diversity. The diversity was too close, and then the genes jumped around in there and made this product. It's the same thing that happens at birth. If you think about it, when DNA doesn't intertwangle, that's the biggest. That's why I say there's no such thing as fatherhood, because DNA doesn't. She experiences an episode of jumping gene where she takes a picture of your DNA and then the genes jump around in a perfect formation. Now, if they jump around in a malformation, that would indicate other things on the jumping genes thought. But they just jump around, and she takes after the process of identification, diversity happens. That's what happens. If they don't intertwine. And that's where people go, well, no, your genes intertwined with hers, but that's the emotional thing. They must have had this emotional party and did that. No, that doesn't happen. It's a jumping gene, and that was Helen
I'm
Smith.
very I'm very happy you explained that because a lot of dudes need to understand that we don't have babies for some
We
odd
don't
reason.
have babies. They do.
For some
100%.
odd reason, there's dudes that like will get mad at you saying that, and they'll act like they're the one
Yeah,
having the baby. It's insane.
right. That's where what's that? MGTOW dictionary. He had a fit when I said that. And I understand the science of these things very well. I just done a biology course. I'm halfway through. I told Joey I don't want to do a biology course, but I did a biology course because I was like, "Ooh, it's one of my least favorite subjects, and I've been struggling through it all summer." But no, I know these things. I can tell you exactly how they work, but they're going to balk on it. They're going to conservatively balk. He said, "No, there is fatherhood." No, there isn't. It's no such thing, and I can prove it biologically, I can prove it sociologically, and I can prove it epistemologically.
That's the problem, man. Like we live in a society that suffers under the Dunning-Kruger effect, and that's why I try my best. I mean, I admire you for your patience, man, but sometimes like I have to control myself from going off on these people. I mean,
I,
be it be it a
I
dating coach or a life coach or guys like Ask Nate. The reason I'm laughing when him or any of his subscribers try to go at me is because the difference between me and him is I'm qualified to give the advice. He isn't.
oh, Luigi just came back when I triggered him on that thing. What did I just say? I must have triggered his conservatism.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, so he just came back when I said that. Do you see how I triggered his conservatism?
Oh man, is that like a new account? Oh, okay, Luigi was true.
These guys will say that the leftist people are triggery. Why, in fact, if you do the personality studies, that you find that people introduce morality and honesty as a in group. That's why I did that one. Are more triggery. They have more things to be triggered about.
Yeah, but I like guys like Luigi. I mean, I hope that they change, but if they don't, I mean, at least they provide, some kind of input. Yeah, you gotta give the guy credit, man. You ever remember that show, Johnny Bravo?
Yeah,
That cartoon where, he go around hitting on these women and then he get rejected, and then like I used to not like Johnny Bravo when I was a kid, but when I got older, I kind of liked him for his determination because he just kept at it, you know.
yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
let.
He didn't let the world beat him down into this thinking differently.
And
Not
it's,
that big a thing. I'm about the most unbigoted. You know what my group before was, and I was really proud of the group that we had put together before, and it was so diverse that it was almost crazy diverse. It was like Shining was a Muslim Asian American, or the Muslim Asian English guy, and then there was me, which is Irish, and then there was a Wasp, and then there was SFM, and then there was Zeta was a he was mixed Hispanic and Asian, and nobody knew it because we were all really well spoken. And when they come around and call us not a diverse group, I was like, dude, if you knew.
yeah, according to people, they believe every MGTOW is just the whitest person on the planet. And
Yeah, it's like
it's just
these guys. It's like if you knew, man, you would be so ashamed by calling me a bigot because we were so diverse. It was crazy diverse. It was great too. It was like we had like so many different points of view. It was like, and it all come back to the same thing. Once you start doing MGTOW, it's about we're all men.
exactly, and that's what it should be about, man. I'm laughing because I remember I had a run in with another type of MGTOW group. I think it was the Idmore and a couple of other people. For 2 straight years, they thought I was like some kind of like Nazi or some dude from
Yeah,
Asia or something. And the reason why I spent 2 years when I made my content. I never once like told my background to any degree, and even now I'm somewhat secretive about it
yeah,
because
yeah.
I
Because you
want
should be
my
squeezed into doxing yourself.
exactly like I want my words to matter
Yeah,
more than my background or anything like that. And that's why I tell them I'm very vague when it comes to revealing my background and everything. That at the very most they know that I'm multiracial. And that's all they freaking need to know. And that's why I don't go into the specifics because
yeah.
then
Don't
people
let that happen to you like it happened to me too. I was squeezed in by my very group in the doxing. They wanted to know everything about me, and then I felt a need to. Like if it was up to me, I would still be like Sandman hiding behind his avatar, and uh, and just getting because as soon as I had to do this, there's an immediate judgment on me about my age, about what I look like, and that keeps me down in my views because there's bigoted people out there that look at me and go, "Oh, he's Irish," or "He's an old guy," or they use ageism. And I was squeezed into that position by these people. Don't let that happen to you. If you want to show yourself, that's fine. If you don't, people will make judgments about who you are then.
yeah, and this is why I just Me, I'm just vague. Like I'm just vague as shit with it. If people want to believe I'm like super white or super black or whatever, I let them believe
Let
that.
them
And
believe what they want.
what
Yeah.
was really funny about this is once a few people actually kind of figured it out, I got this question, and this one might make you laugh. I had someone ask me, how light are you?" And I'm like,
How light are you? Qualify for the light one?
yeah, that's what they were saying. Like how
Or
white?
on
I'm
the
like,
other end, you probably have to deal with, are you black enough?
oh yeah, I deal with both.
Yeah,
I have
I
people.
thought that was always horrible. Are you black enough? It's like, no, you're not black enough. It's like, I'm not black enough either.
It's
And no, you'll notice like I get discriminated in my viewership. You know,
it's it's hilarious because people try to pigeonhole you with these fucking labels and everything, and I've got the ageism crap too. I've had dudes that were 40, like
yeah,
mid 40s, 50s and up, tell me that because I'm in my 30s and whatnot, that somehow invalidates my experience. Oh, you haven't lived long enough, or you're not a real man. Or I had someone tell me you don't become a real man until you turn 50, and I
uh,
got quiet. I got quiet for a moment, and I said, sir, can I ask you a question? He said, what? Are you still working the same job that you had in high school? He said, yeah, I'm management now. I said, okay, so when did you decide you were a real man? Like when they stopped paying you crap pay, or when they just said, oh, give the little guy a win?
yeah. There's all kinds of ages, and no, I don't both ways. I believe it's experience, and when you first come around, and that's the knowledge that you have to know to be a real MGTOW. And I don't want to hear this true Scotsman bullshit about a MGTOW is a MGTOW. You know a MGTOW when you hear a MGTOW, and there is a true Scotsman, and he's Scottish. And a MGTOW is a MGTOW. Violin to be a violin player, to be a no, to be a flutist, you have to play a flute.
Exactly.
and and uh, yeah, so there is a MGTOW and there is a not MGTOW. The ones and twos, they're not MGTOWs. I don't. They're growing into being a MGTOW, but there's going to be a long learning process. And you talk to SFM any day of the week, he'll tell you he sat in that chat there for 5 years before he came on here. He sat in my
Wow.
talked every Sunday morning on this Sunday talk. He sat in that chat and listened before he made any kind of judgments. Now, 5 years or 2 years or something or whatever it was, but it was a long period of time. And it must have been, and it tells you a lot about our topic today about cognitive closure. What he was deciding was right and wrong. What he was deciding was how to think as a MGTOW. He was becoming a MGTOW. So there will be a time period, and now I will say the first thing you should do is become celibate, and drain your body of all those bacteria, clear your head up, drink a lot of water, go out in the woods, get in touch with nature, and then you can start looking at the MGTOW. Luigi is going nuts now. Then you can
Yeah.
start looking at the MGTOW in a real light, and it becomes quantitative then.
Yeah, I mean, and it's when I went to that stream along with other streams, someone asked me an interesting question that I sometimes think about. They were asking me, do you watch porn? Don't you have a sexual desire? And then they all had a knee-jerk reaction when I told them I don't watch porn anymore. I used to, but it doesn't do, dude, it doesn't really do much for me anymore. I mean, I've learned to temper that desire.
Okay, I
It's
just blocked him because it was getting to be too much, and so I let him have a say. But it's just weird now that he's doing that, so I did block him. And he will know that he is the only
yeah.
person on my blacklist.
I would just tune in a lot of it out. I would check occasionally and read.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you see, we can. I left it around long enough where my actual viewers can see what a horrible person looks like. There's a lesson in that.
my whole thing is, I don't even hate the dude. I hope he changes someday and realizes
I hope he comes around and it starts looking at what we're saying and
because
he'll doing the research on it and he'll
because
come.
he's tried to make some MGTOW content. I went to his channel, got a lot of his stuff got removed, and he's entry level MGTOW. And I'm hoping
Yeah,
that if he stays around long enough, he'll drop the foolishness at one point in time. Maybe he's going through some red pill rage or
yeah.
whatever he's going through. I mean, we've all been
He
there, but
wants
with
to go
him,
back to. He wants women to conform to what he wants, and that's not going to happen. There's too much water under the bridge, and
a lot of guys hate hearing that. Like blue pillars and a ton of people hate hearing this when I say this to them. That 1940s 50 thing, it wasn't perfect back then, and it'll never come again. That time is gone. It's
that time
over.
is gone. It's over. It's through, and it's a good example about during that period of time. Camus writes a book. It's called which one was it? It's not the Myth of Sisyphus, but the Rebel. Now, if you read the Rebel, you're going to learn about, or even in the Myth of Sisyphus, he does a chapter on romanticism and how horrible romanticism was for our society. And it's exactly what we talk about. These guys are romanticizing an idea, a fantasy fiction idea. That's what romanticism is. You're romanticizing an idea of a perfect world.
Exactly, man. And it's funny to me because these people always think they're helping someone. I mean, when I was when I was growing up, I always had like a relatively diverse group of friends and whatnot, and I mean, I just never. I always try to treat people on a case by case basis. I mean, did I say arrogant shit at one point in time? Sure, but I mean, people grow up, people
Right. We
change.
have the right to choose our own friends, and I've come to I've been struggling with what is it called affiliation theories. We have right to affiliate with who you want, but choose them on how good of a person he is, how good of a person he is in your life. Is he useful? Is he not useful? Stuff like that, and that tells about their character, their quality, their beliefs, and everything. And we don't make snap judgments on those things.
That's why it's good to give people at least somewhat of a chance before you just outright dismiss them and whatnot, because you
Right.
can, as the old saying goes, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, I used to believe in affiliation theory with the documents and articles of our Constitution. You have the right to affiliate with who you want to, but they took down the sign at the Polish club down here, and I was always
Oh,
wondering why they took down the affiliation sign of this is a group that Polish Americans can come to and be around people like themselves. And they took that down. And I was talking to the old guy, he's a philosopher too, and he's like, "You'll get it someday." And why he took down the sign, because I was mad about it, because they gave a great explanation of affiliation in America, but he took it down, and I got it about a week ago, and I was like, "Oh, that's why, because it leads to nationalism."
yep.
And I didn't see that. And I couldn't put those two things together in my mind. But after 4 years of Trumpism, I know what nationalism is now.
True that.
So affiliation theory is like, no, but in the purest sense of the theory, you have the right to pick your own friends.
And that's just the way life is. I mean, like I agree with you that they're like I had to tell one of my god kids this. I said there are billions of people on this planet. Why are you gonna get so hung up over one? Just
Yeah, it's just
like
like get out of the one chick.
it's kind of funny. I became a godfather in the funniest way possible. One of my friends, this happened to me 3 times. They'd always buy me some alcohol, get me nice and comfortable, and then give me the speech about, Wolf, if anything happens to me, I want you to kind of make sure my son or
Yeah,
whatever is going to be
you get a
okay.
godfather. Yeah.
And
I just had a request about that too, whether I was going to be the child's godfather. And it's like, I'm a great mentor figure, and I told them I'm a great mentor figure, and I love the kids and everything. You bring them around and they know they're safe and everything, but I'm not a good religious godfather sort of person. I'm not a fit male in that sense. If you're a traditionalite and you're looking for a fit male, I don't believe in their group practices.
same, when it came to my friends, I don't mind sharing this story, like because it's pretty funny. One of my guy kids, the one that I always call Eminem or Thor. I used to call him Eminem, but he got muscles now, so I call him Thor and everything. He looks like an Asgardian and everything, blonde and whatnot. And the other one, is I think he's like full Jamaican or whatever. When they were younger, I must have been like 26 when they were cleaning out the snow. And I tell this story because it was so funny. They used to accuse me of playing favoritism, and when honestly it really wasn't. All I wanted to do is, when you get in that right mode, you just want to sleep. Because man, I was working like 15 hours a day. All I want to do is sleep. It's snowing. They start fighting over a shovel. One of them shouts, "He called me a bad word." And then I got mad, got up, opened the window, and I said, "You want to hear the story? You guys ever hear the story about how the big bad wolf went out and then hit the Jamaican kid upside the head with a shovel, and then when the blind kid tried to run, he just ate him right on the spot? Would you like me to tell you how it ends?" And like,
Yeah,
no, okay.
yeah, that's how it ends.
Just stuff like that. I mean, it gets to a point where it's just I can tell what kind of old person I'm gonna be, man. I'm gonna be probably that sadistic, sarcastic, but yet somewhat caring old dude that just kind of wants to just smoke, drink, sleep, and then get in all that practice I can for the big sleep.
The big sleep, yeah. I'm just waiting for the bed. I tell you, I'm so comfortable with that idea of transitioning onto a different plane that I'm really comfortable with that. That I'm not no longer, and it helps. I'm no longer fearful about life, and that's what it is. You get comfortable with that, and that's where you, man, that's gold. Where you're no longer fearful about life, and you can see it in other people. They're so. I just watched a movie about that, about a girl that was so fearful about life. It was a new like 2021 movie where aliens came down, and then there. And it's like the girl was so fearful about life, and she's like woke up, and she's like, I'm no longer fearful about everything, and it was a good thing that happened.
It it really was, man. I mean, it's people. There's a saying for this that I made a video with a song from Quest from Camelot. Pretty good movie. It's about this guy who lived in the woods and this woman wanted his help. He was a blind dude, and the whole meaning of his song and said like he told her, "This place is not for you to roam.
Yeah,
I embrace what others fear."
yeah, yeah. It's sort of like MGTOW. MGTOW is like, I mean, this realm is not for most people to roam around in. It's a dangerous place with a lot of dangerous ideas, and but most of these ideas are true. And if you embrace these ideas, you're not going to be the most popular person in the room, but
Exactly, man.
you will be the most correct person in the room.
I've had people tell me like that, my dark humor is repulsive, and if everyone took my mentality, people just wouldn't breed anymore. And I told one guy, yeah, probably, but it's not going to stop people from screwing. So I mean, I know that's never going to happen. That's an exercise in futility right there. So
Yeah,
I
the
told him
mating.
the world needs useful idiots. That's what I told him. So not everyone can be like me.
Here, the maters, they're going to mate, and that's what I found out with this last guy. It's like they're going to continue mating, no matter how much they might know what you're saying is right, but they're going to continue mating.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the most important thing in their lives, and that's why a true MGTOW has to go celibate for a certain amount of time so he can see the joy in celibacy, and then he becomes the asexual, the group S. That he can see the default system of a male is asexuality. You can work on your car without thinking about that. You can mow your grass without thinking about that. You can go to your job without thinking about that. You become a man above reproach because you're not thinking about that. Nobody can accuse you of being a misogynist. Nobody can accuse you of them things because you don't do them. And that's what it's about. It's about becoming that man. Uh, where the default position on life, 99% of life that you were missing before, is that default position of non-sexuality.
And that's true. A lot of people can't handle that. That's why, like you said, there's always going to be, breeders and whatnot. And
Yeah,
the thing is, like, they think that we're trying to change them. And I say
yeah.
this all the time. We are
No,
not trying to
I,
change them.
I'm trying to
They,
make the other 99% of their life more fulfilling.
because, dude, believe it or not, even like, even when people come and like talk to me in the woods and not and whatnot, last dude I talked to was a married dude, and I told him about the red pill and whatnot, and he's like, if you feel this way, why do you bother to help me? And I said, because I'm not trying to change you. I'm just hoping that
Yeah.
if she ever divorces you or whatever, that you don't
Oh,
take a
they
flying leap. You
Yeah.
know, I told him that's why I care. It's not you dating doesn't bother me, even if I disagree with it. I told him I may disagree with the life path you've chosen, but you have to be comfortable with it, not me. You live
Yeah.
with her, not
You
me.
live with that. Yeah. You live with that. And hopefully, when that time does come, that he's taken enough in where he puts the correct guards and risk in the life where he doesn't lose as much.
That's why I was telling him. I mean, you know the advice I gave him, and he actually like made notes of it. I told him if you're really serious about this chick and this is the road you've decided, then watch MGTOW content, watch men go on their way, get a
Watch it.
prenup, protect yourself at all costs,
Protect
even if it
yourself,
doesn't
right?
work. Just protect yourself. Don't be out there all willy nilly and stupid and whatnot and going, oh, our relationship's so perfect and everything can go right. And I told him don't be that way. Even if you want to pursue that, just don't be foolish about it. You can
Yeah.
date, just don't be an idiot. That's what I
Yeah. That
told him. Date, but
shocking
don't be an
moment.
idiot.
That shocking moment where all that ends is the time you find you're most ignorant. Uh, and that's the way I was. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't take care of things correctly. And that's the shocking moment with that when that happens to you. And MGTOW prepares you for that shocking moment where you can better navigate it. You can get cognitive closure faster. You can move on with your life as a male without being so damaged. Because man, I was so damaged I couldn't do nothing for years.
And and that's a terrible place to be, man. I remember being so angry to the point where you might laugh when I tell you this, but when MGTOW reached out to me,
Yeah,
dude, I was so black pilled. I was cussing out
yeah,
everybody who came down the freaking water pipe. Just
yeah. I remember you were black pilled, really black pilled when you came in, and it was just that anger, that rage. It's like, it's like the whole world seems screwed up.
it, it,
And
it really is.
it really is screwed up. But what do we do? What actions do we take after that? It's the actions you take as a MGTOW to move forward out of that, get you closure, and get things. I was going to close this out pretty soon, but I really wanted you to consider maybe taking that nature thing that you do with other men to another level, and maybe bring guys in. I don't know what you can afford. And I know there's big costs in these things. It's like I do. There's big costs in bringing another guy in this house, and so
I,
I can help them. But
well, my plan is one of these days I'm gonna move. I'm gonna sell my land, sell my house, and I'm gonna probably move. I don't know whether I'm going to Italy, Amsterdam, but I'm gonna move to a place that's more conducive to my lifestyle, and I'm actually going to I'm gonna offer these lessons because it's easier for me to talk to the younger generation. Very
yeah,
easy to reach them because I understand their anger. Usually, from my experience, dude, it's been really hard with some of the guys my age and up because sometimes people get so set in their ways, and I know an older dude does not like having to hear crap from a younger person about how to
how to
manage their life and whatnot. And when I tell them my story about, what I went through and, the car, the river, going from hotel, when I tell them my story, then they get quiet, then they want to listen. Usually with the older ones, I have to tell them my experiences before they're willing to even remotely listen to me. And so there's a weird like back and forth ageism that happens. But
yeah,
but back to you were saying, I plan on taking this to another level once I get my business set up because what I'm trying to do is to start like very very small business. I want to one day own my own little bar
yeah.
and whatnot.
You be a
And
guide. That's pretty much what you're going to be as a guide, and you can that's maybe it's you some at the best MGTOW is a spiritualism, you spiritual guide into that stuff, and that's good. That's good. That's great.
and so yeah, I'm definitely gonna take your advice, and watching your channel helps a lot because I still like making jokes and whatnot, and it's pretty funny. Like I hate having to tone myself down, but I realize I have to
Jokes are
do that.
cathartic because yeah, when we come into MGTOW, it's like what was that Mexican MGTOW when he was he called the girl something at the beginning of every, and that was cathartic for him, and it was just that cathartic. It's like A lot of MGTOW is good, but yeah, eventually it'll just become an old joke, a cliche joke, and it won't be so cathartic. But if you need to do that still, that's perfectly fine.
And it fades eventually. I
And
had to tell one of my friends because he always gets offended by everything that I say, and I told him just because I'm making a joke about you, it's not a form of disrespect. It's actually a form of camaraderie because I cared
right,
enough about you to make a joke about you.
right, I care about that thing that you're doing. Now that's a real thing in MGTOW. Is like we have friends, and I always project this idea what our friends having good male friends around is you're looking at your friend, and sometimes your friend's going through a sudden personality change. Who else notices that? Nobody else in the world notices that. There's reasons why we go through sudden personality changes. There could be an infection. There could be pain. There could be disease. There could be a lot of things. And your job as a friend is to instruct him to where he needs to go. A doctor, a psychologist, get some antibacterial. First thing, I always keep antibacterials around here to give my friends that go through sudden personality changes. That's the first precautionary thing. Uh, there's things. It's your responsibility as a friend to do that.
Exactly, and I tell people all the time, like if we're unable to help them, then they should see a specialist or something. I mean, there are places that
There,
they can go. I mean, they have the little AA meetings. I had a friend that was a recovering alcoholic, and he told me he was laughing at me because I told him do this, and I guarantee you it'll lessen it. And he was laughing because he said that doesn't work. And then about a few months later, he was saying, "Damn, that helped a lot." And let me tell you what I told him. There was a point in my life, I was never an alcoholic, but there was a point in my life where I used to drink a lot.
yeah,
And I didn't like the fact that I used to drink so much because, I mean, I was trying to mask depression and all the shit I was
right.
going
That's
through
tricky.
out.
It is. You're masking other things. It wasn't the drinking. It was what was causing the drinking.
Exactly. And once my situation got better, I didn't even really need to drink that much anymore. Now it's just like occasional when I'm just, shooting the shit and whatnot. I told him, get a clear, get get a bottle of your favorite alcohol. I said, and drink that alcohol. And after it's done, fill that bottle up with water, put it in the refrigerator, and whenever you feel a need to drink out of just that bottle.
Yeah, drink it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Fill it
yeah.
with water.
I'm a drug and alcohol counselor, what I used to be, and so I deal with a lot of that subject and about alcoholism, and MGTOW's a lot like that. We yeah, it's like their addiction at that point is the girl sex and that stuff, and that's a big addiction, and we have to treat it the same way. What caused what why are you thinking this way? Why are you doing this to yourself? Um, that's the questions we ask. It's like we have to delve deeper into those subjects and those
And
things.
and this is why I get so irritated. It's like sometimes in reference to the dating coaches and then life coaches because they're not helping men. They're making money off of hurting men. They're worse than drug dealers to me because they're telling men to man up, go out, be a boss man, go out and screw as much as possible. You're not a real man. They're telling men things, especially younger men stuff that is going to hurt them in the long run. And so when I see these unqualified people talking about this, I mean, like I don't trust anyone with life coach in their freaking YouTube name anymore. I mean,
You
I
ever been
just
in
don't.
you ever been in a group situation and you're talking and everything? I've been in a lot of groups in my life and headed up a lot of groups and everything. Cognitive therapy is important to me. That's what this is. This is cognitive therapy. But if it's like it, you ever have that one person that comes in and he's so negative and he screams and yells and yells at you all and tells you you're all crazy and then he leaves the group?
Oh yeah, I've had a couple of them, man.
And it's like, whoa. It's like, but that's what these guys are. They're just coming into our group, which is a cognitive therapy, and they're screaming and they're yelling and they're telling us, but he's never going to get the help that he needs by doing that. And, veterans groups and stuff like that, which I'm very familiar with. We do this cognitive therapy, and there's always a guy that's going to come in and tell us we're all, and it's like, no, dude, this is just about you getting this shit off your chest and having some people to talk to it about it and everything, and that helps. Uh, And they'll scream, they'll yell, and they'll leave, and they'll try to wreck the group. And that's what that guy he was trying to wreck the group. What was his name? I can't even hardly remember his name anymore.
Oh, Luigi or something.
Luigi, don't be a Luigi. Yeah, he was screaming, he was yelling. That's where your thoughts about someday he might come back and need this group, and really, really, we'll still be there for him. But that's what he's doing right now. He's so angry. He's screaming and yelling, and he's trying to wreck the group.
And this is why, even offline, when I would meet dudes that would do stuff like this, my guy kid did this when he was around maybe like 12 or 13. He lost his dad. That his dad was reckless and kept picking fights to everybody. And his mom, women don't know how to deal with male anger, and so she kept trying to give him time out and spank him and everything else. And what I did was I picked him up and I took him to the junkyard, because I had some stuff that I need to throw away, that like broken tables and stuff like that. I handed him a bat and I said, you can break all of this stuff, I don't care about it. He's like, really? I just said, break it, just scream, yell, break the hell out of it. And after about a good 10 minutes he comes back and he's crying and everything. I give him a hug and I said, are you okay? Can you heal?
Can you heal? Yeah. That's important. The exposure, you expose them to, and you let it get out of them. We used to do this thing. I used to do it a lot when I was when we did go out and we're like Friday night or something. We get a case of beer and everything, and then we go find a abandoned building somewhere, and we just start a fire and drink, and we take those bottles and just when you're done with one, just whip it and smash it against the wall. There's something so cathartic about smashing a bottle.
It really is, man. It's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's enjoyable, and
we talk about like what made us angry in the world and how we released that, and that's how we did it. I remember it was a funny story. We were smashing these bottles in this truck dock, and then I would always clean the bottles up. That's why I picked a wall to do it, and then the police showed up and he said, man, there's people smashing bottles here. And I looked up and I'm kind of sharp. And I was sweeping up the bottles and he says, yeah. And I said, yeah. And I got to clean it up. Knowing I was the guy that smashed it. The police said, yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. And I was like, yeah, if I catch those guys, I'm going to. I got such a kick out of that. But there was a lesson in that in life, too. I mean, I was cleaning up my mess. After I made my mess, I cleaned up my mess. It was a responsibility, but I could take the high road then.
Exactly. And what I noticed is where they really hurt young men and boys is where they go in society and they go in these really feminine places and they tell you, oh, well, on one hand they'll tell you to show your emotions, but you have to show it in the textbook feminine way. And I had to explain this to his mom many years ago. That's a boy, not a girl. Like, all he wanted you to do was, you didn't have to understand his pain. You just had to acknowledge it, and you refused to acknowledge it. You're punishing him for being pissed off. He lost his dad.
Screaming out for something, and no matter what a child is screaming out for, he's screaming out, and it's your responsibility as an adult to hear that.
And she didn't like it when I told her that. I was like, that's your son. He lost his dad, and you don't have to understand what he's going through fully, but just understand his pain somewhat. It's not just about you. You lost a husband. He lost a father. Who do you think it hurt more, you or him? He'll never have those moments with his dad.
That's where that lack of empathy with a lot of mothers are. They don't have, all they see is themselves. And even at the funerals we talk about where they put themselves like, he died, but I'm hurting more. And this hurts women more. That was what was it? The Battle of Little Bigfoot and Custer, and Libby Custer wrote a book about that, and that's what she did. She's like, oh, the women are hurting so bad now. We're suffering more. The men got out easy on that. They said by dying.
It's like World War, women most affected.
The Hillary Clinton thing, she did it too. She did Libby Custer. You can get the Battle of Libby Custer writes a book if you want to see it. It's the Battle of Little Bigfoot, and she writes about her view and what happened. That you can get a lot of information about females and how they think from that book. That was written in like 1840 something.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. And you're very right when it comes to the whole female nature thing, and that's what I learned about female nature. I used to think that women were actively doing this, but that's just a biological thing.
That was a biological thing.
They don't understand what they can't relate to, and so they have to make it about them. I mean, I could have a guy, like either one of us could have a guy come up to us right now and they lost their arm or they got burned all over, and even though that never happened to us, we're
We can
able to understand that
right.
and empathize. Women typically can't empathize
Yeah,
unless they have a correlation. Like a woman would say, "Okay, he lost his arm. That's just like when I lost my handbag in the
yeah.
store
Oh,
somewhere."
my
You know,
mother used to do that. Yeah. God. I seen the most horrible thing my mother ever did. She was like, a woman had lost her leg, and her name was Claire. She had a great ability. She had that disease where she could remember every moment in her life, and she remembered every person that ever came in that bar, and she knew what they drank, and it was so amazing. If the guy came in 10 years ago, she would go, "Hey Joe, need a Budweiser and a shot?" And he's like, "God, you really remember that?" Yeah, I remember that day you came in 10 years ago. But she was one of those person that had that, but she had lost a leg in her life. And my mother said, "Well, I had 8 kids." And I was like, "Oh, you can't empathize with her." Oh. And I was so ashamed about that. It's like there was a lack of empathy. Even between the girls, they have this lack of empathy. It's like someone's always, my pain was greater.
yeah, it becomes a competition, man, and even the women in my own family have done that to me, and
Yeah,
that's how I learned how to deal with that rage. I didn't have anyone to really explain to me. I mean, my dad did, but my dad had analogies that would go way over my head, because he would have these. You ever watch that movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Pretty
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
funny movie.
yeah.
You remember how the kid was a scientist and he couldn't really communicate with his dad? His dad
Right.
loved him, but he didn't know how to
He didn't know how to
communicate with him.
communicate. His dad was great, dad, in that.
That's that's how my dad is when I was younger. I'd be like
We
trying to
could,
do everything, and he
yeah,
would have analogies to try to communicate with me because that's how he was raised. And so he's a Vietnam veteran, so it's kind of he said he struggled to try to communicate with me for the longest time because
right. Because
everything was so different.
yeah, we didn't know. We were ignorant when we were young, and my dad was the same way. He would. My dad was highly into Dostoevsky, and when he'd say these things to me, I didn't understand, and it was hard to communicate with him and everything. But now that I got older, sometimes I'll just like, oh shoot, yeah. When I was reading through Dostoevsky years ago, it's like, oh, now I understand what he means. He used to say this thing all the time. Which ones? He'd look at me and go, "Which one are you today, Ivan or Alyeshka or Ivan today?" And it was like I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" And now I know what it means. Which one was I now? Which did I want to kill my father, or did I want to? Was I empathetic to my father? Alyosius, yeah, Alyosius or Ivan. Which one are you? Are you Ivan or are you Alyosius today? You drive me nuts. I didn't know.
That's a that's a clever way to go about it, man, and it's actually pretty funny. With me, I didn't get what my dad meant until later in life and
Yeah,
stuff like that. It dawned on me that he was teaching me lessons the whole time that didn't become apparent until I went through certain experiences and had
right.
certain
Like,
things happen to me, and then I pull it up and I go, oh, that's what he meant, and that's what becoming a man really is, and this is why.
yeah,
I know I need to stop referencing these type of people, but they just make me mad. Like I try to not reference them, but the life coaches, Nate, all them guys,
mm,
they want to wear what it means to be a man without actually becoming one. They don't go
that's my
through
thing
any
about
real
fatherhood
development.
too. You can be a male mentor figure, but like I say, to be a flutist, you have to play the flute. You have to be
Exactly.
a man.
For stuff like that, it's like to add on to the analogy, it's like someone comes up to you and they give you all the books to how to play a flute and they say, I've read all these books, I memorized all the songs, and then when you put a flute in their hands, they don't even know what to do
I
with it.
never played a flute. Like no, to be a male mentor figure, you have to be a man, and you have to be a full grown man and understand things. Uh, and that's what the life coaches aren't. getting. They're not full grown men. Most of them are very immature, and they're working on Maslow's hierarchy that they learned in some class for life coaches. And there is a class, I always mean to bring it up and show you guys, there is a class, that's life coach class, that bases itself on Maslow's hierarchy. And it's like, oh, you can see it once you start seeing it, all of them, it almost becomes comical.
It really is. I mean, because what these guys do is they take that mentality and they try to act like they can take your masculinity away. Like, I'm going to take it away. You're feminine now because I say so and you're not
Right.
following my thing. And it's just the moment I meet guys that do that, I don't even hate them. I feel sorry
Feel
for
sorry
them.
for him because they're very immature. That was life coach Eli. He was very immature. That's why I say people without problems, trying to help people with problems deal with problems by not having problems.
Yeah. It's insane, man. And I tried every method towards talking to such people and even the subs. And I think he got mad at me because a couple of his subs became my subs and everything because I wasn't, he accused me of huffing and puffing in the stream. I never once yelled in my own video, my stream. And so that was his deflection because one MGTOW did something, he blamed all MGTOW. And I used
Yeah,
to think that maybe MGTOW did something to him, but in actuality, it wasn't even that. He hates that we're around because I've yet to meet anyone to bring research to refute any of our claims.
right. Yeah, I give
Even
people opportunity. That's what Friday Night Fight Club is about. It's like, come on in, refute my claims, and I'll give you every opportunity. Don't bring certain things. I tell, don't bring like that guy coming in that was earlier. I can't remember his name, but don't bring that stuff. Bring some actual scientific evidence about why we are fathers, about why, and don't mistake mentorship for fatherhood. They're two different things.
exactly, and it makes me mad because they were trying to get under my skin. He was having the women try to play psychological warfare
Yeah.
with me, and
Oh, they'll bring the
I got
girl in, and yeah, like,
'cause
don't you want to have one of these?
I
No.
saw what he was doing, and the funny part about it is there's a lot of dudes out there trying to play daddy to everybody, play
Yeah.
father, daddy to everybody, and I tell people this all the time on my streams and my channel. I'm gonna say it on this one too. I am not a perfect person. There are times where I get
Yeah.
pissed. There's times where I say stuff, and if I'm wrong, let me be wrong, or better yet, tell me why I'm wrong. Refute, like change my mind about something. I'm open minded to have my mind changed, and that was the mentality I had when I went into that Joker stream. I was more open minded than he ever was about MGTOW or any of them because I said, "Hey, I'm MGTOW. Change my mind." That was my whole mentality. And for 2 hours, they'll listen to me and another guy, and they'll listen, but knowledge without understanding is meaningless. They were just listening but not understanding.
Yeah,
So
it's meaningless. It doesn't
I
have
was,
no weight to it. Yeah,
I don't know if it was a IQ thing or whatnot, but
yeah,
I
philosophy
stopped.
doesn't bake bread.
That's why I just stopped. I tried to use like I really tried. I gave it the old college try, man. I tried being funny. They got mad about that. Then I tried being serious. They got mad about that. So I said, okay, those are my only two modes. So I'm gonna have to try to like I just gracefully bowed out. I mean, him and the rest of them can continue moonlighting MGTOW along with the entry level guys or and not wearing the label or doing they can keep being uh these disruptors. They can keep doing that
Yeah, they can keep doing.
because eventually everything gets old. He's gonna
Yeah,
get old someday and that PUA crap isn't really gonna go anywhere. What he's doing now he won't be able to do forever. Maybe
right.
about a couple of years at best. And to all the people that try to rip off men, try to rip off MGTOW, you may make off with a couple $100, maybe a couple thousand, but what do you really gain out of that? I mean, you got some money,
Yeah,
for BSing people. I mean,
think
at the end of the day,
the angry MGTOWs. Yeah, so- but it's up to us. We got to do it, and yeah, I take that challenge on, and we have to move MGTOW forward, and in our approach and how we do these things, and that's going to be a difficult project because MGTOW is so transitory. There's going to be people in, people out. Guys, we're going to be always dealing with these new guys, but it doesn't mean we can't learn from how to deal with them and bring them forward faster.
yeah, that's why I say freaking let him talk. I mean, like before you
Yeah,
block him, we gave him every opportunity. Hey, state your piece, come on stream. He had an opportunity. He chose to
right.
do what he did.
Yeah, he can always come on and we'll talk about it if he can keep his affective emotions under control. I'll talk. But as soon as he goes off and he shows that he's immature and there's too much affection uh, and there's too much triggery stuff, and I'll just send him away. But you have to be under control. That's what MGTOW is: total control of your life. Uh,
Exactly. And I get mad about this. I mean, I try to never talk about like masculine and feminine in my channel because it falls into, generic stuff. I try
yeah,
not to. But the thing that angers me is when I meet people operating almost 100% of their emotions and then trying to tell you to man up simultaneously.
right. Yeah, like you're so liberal. You're a Libby. You're having feelings. No, I'm not. I'm never having feelings. I control my feelings, but they will show themselves. They're just projecting, and what they're really doing is they're having too much emotions about what they're dealing with, and what they're dealing with is a MGTOW.
It's a mass projection, man. I mean,
Yeah,
all them comments eventually is it's just gonna get.
they'll have to deal with those in their life sooner or later, one by one, and they're going to come up in other spots in their life. All roads lead to MGTOW. You're going to have to deal with those things that you were blaming other people for, and that's about taking responsibility for your life, about doing that self introspection. Eventually, whatever these guys say negatively, they're going to have to deal with that in their life, and they're going to have to cognitively come through that, and then they'll realize, oh, geez, hey, you'll need your sins forgiven then.
And this is why I try to you may laugh at me like but a long time ago when I was entry level MGTOW, when I saw guys doing that, I would I'd make videos grilling them, and I even had people ask me, why don't you grill that Nate, life coach guy? And I said, because it's not worth it. I mean, he already kind of does it to himself, and eventually when people either follow that, advice and get a damn restraining order or go to prison or some shit, they'll figure out that it's wrong. It's just
Yeah,
sometimes I think
right.
life is
Sometimes that happens. It's like the DNA thing. We have several courses here. One of them's like you rehabilitate yourself. You learn about your problems. You go to AA. You learn about what happened, what caused these problems. Then you get a certificate to leave and with your life, or you can go to jail.
exactly.
Eventually, you will go to jail if you keep acting that way.
It's like that game Monopoly. Don't cross, go directly to jail.
Yeah, there are consequences to these things, and they would say there's two separate courses. You're going to get those guys back from jail now, and tell you how much that sucked and everything, and that's what it is. When you're if you're in MGTOW jail, you tried that thing with the women, and you failed, and now you're sitting in MGTOW jail, and you don't know why.
And that's why, like, I try to be very careful even when I give my advice. I try to never directly tell people what to do, and they get mad when I'm like, everyone gets mad about my vagueness, but I'm that way because I don't want anybody coming back to me and go, Black Wolf, you told me I should. Nope,
No, I didn't say that. Yeah, yeah,
I didn't say jack in regards to that. I could tell you what I would do. I
yeah.
could tell you about the situation and analyze it from an outsider looking in, but I'm not going to say, "Hey, Frank, you should climb that hill." Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
the kind of guy that will say, I'll come up with a story about the hill. I'll just outright tell Frank, "Well, I hear there might be some gold up there. I mean, there's also sharp rocks up there, which is about
Try.
100 for sure. Just go for it. I mean, hopefully you don't fall. I mean, I let them know what can happen if they do that. But if hell, I'm that kind of guy that Frank climbed the hill, he made it, great for him. Like can't say the same for the other 99 guys, but it's one of those things.
You're walking past a graveyard of male suffering and death, and you're saying, "Lucky me," and you don't see the graveyard. It's not seeing you're not seeing the forest for the trees.
That's honestly how I feel sometimes. Like you may find this funny. I don't know if you ever heard of Toonami before. It's Toonami is a station where they show like a lot of anime. Back in the day, they would come up with like these 30-minute animes that they show.
Yeah.
And one of my subscribers came up and he made a really funny joke about me. He's like, "Damn, Black Wolf is the tsunami of MGTOW. he said he said to get some cereal sometime on a Saturday morning and just watch the clips and my voice and everything. And I started laughing because that was a diss, but a really really good one, and I couldn't come up with a comeback for that. I was like, God damn, okay, you got me on that one. It's stuff like that. And I get mad because we as men barely have that anymore. I lost a lot of friends because of their reckless emotional behavior. Some died just being stupid. And I try to tell people like I'm the lucky one because I could have been where they are.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only-
it could have been that, and it all can happen to us at any moment. Any bad decision, that we make, it's always a constant MGTOW decision you're making. We just had a couple guys I've talked to in the last few weeks that made the bad decision, and now they're paying for it. And these are more honest guys that I talk to on a more intimate level, obviously. But yeah, it's gonna always do the MGTOW risk assessment, and
yeah, that's all.
it'll keep you out of trouble. And for me, the best advice I can give is 200 miles and a fake ID. If you just got to do that, 200 miles with a fake ID, and then come home and then put your life together and do man things, make some money and whatever. I think we're about done here today.
Oh yeah, it's a good stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great stream. I don't want to go too far where people can't listen to it because it's too lengthy, and we kind of went over my 2 hour limit.
Oh,
But guys,
I
well, I get comments from old 4 or 5 hour videos about they're 6 hours deep in it, but they will. That's like,
I mean,
yeah,
I can listen to stuff like that as long as it's like entertaining. But yeah, I mean, you know me, man. I can if I'm in a good conversation, I can talk practically forever. Give me some alcohol, hell, I'll talk all day. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess
It's Sunday. I got things to do anyways, and I want to make
yeah,
dinner. And
me too. I should probably get to making lunch anyway. But
yeah,
hell, man, it's been a blast. And hopefully when I get my streams up, you can come drop by if you want. I just need to kind of figure out how I'm gonna go about that. But yeah, I
okay. Well, I'm
appreciate
gonna
it.
close this out and thank everybody for coming in. Thank you guys for coming around, Joey and Black. Go see their channels and you know do your MGTOW, do it right, and that's best to play a flute. To be a flutist, you got to play a flute. To be a MGTOW, you have to be a MGTOW. You have to do the make things MGTOWs do and everything. And that uh, that MGTOW light doesn't work. But that's not important because most guys that come around here are MGTOWs and they understand what it's about. And that helps me out because I'm a MGTOW. And without you guys being around, I would have no one to talk to. And most of all, just thanks for being MGTOW. MGTOWs.